Hello, welcome to Recentered, a podcast all about VR and sometimes AR. My name is Gary from the YouTube channel Immerse Robot, and joining me this week, as always, is Rog, also known as Flute Rogie, and we've also got a guest in the name of Lee, also known as Dazed Netic from the YouTube channel of the same name. So, how are you, Lee? Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and tell us about your channel as well?
Doing very well, guys. Thank you very much for inviting me on. You are the first people to ever ask me, so I do feel very honoured.
Well, you're very welcome.
So yeah, my channel mainly is me trying to play games. I've got the original hashtag pro gamer because I'm so bad at gaming. But I kind of got into VR a few years back, and that's when I've been trying to record and put some few videos out. It was actually Paradise K that kind of forced me to do a YouTube channel. So if he's listening, it's your fault. And that's how I started.
PD pushed me to do this podcast as well, so I think we've got him to blame for a lot of stuff.
I believe I seconded that as well. So
I think you did.
Yeah. Yeah, because your channel, you do a lot of VR stuff, and then you do this stuff which is sort of flat gaming, but you use Vorpex or sort of the 3D SBS kind of.
Depth 3D. Yeah. If people aren't aware of that, it's what it is. On my videos, I do switch across to 3D SBS. So if you're using a Quest 2 or whatever VR headset you've got, you can actually view it in 3D in the headset when you're watching it. So that's kind of cool. But when you're using Depth 3D, what I can see is really like a giant flat screen monitor, a giant cinema screen, as if you were going to see the pictures like a 3D movie, and then the game looks 3D on that. So yeah, that's really, really cool to use that.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that, and I've honestly not looked into it too deeply yet, but I've heard of it, and of course Vorpex, PD uses that a lot, doesn't he, to play a lot of these as well. I've never tried Vorpex. I've heard so many mixed things about it, but I know PD and I guess you are both sort of big believers in it, just for
I've used
getting that experience.
Bits. I tend to more use Depth 3D now because it's got shaders as well, so you can add different color tones to things and different, things like that, so that you can alter how it looks on screen. My friend VRAN uses it quite a lot, and on his videos you can really see the difference. It really brings more cinematic colors out, and you can add bloom, so you can go proper full-on J.J. Abrams, which is what I tend to do mainly, because that's how I like it to look. So you can add all those as well, not just the 3D part of it.
Yeah, it's something I've often thought about. I've come very close to picking up Vorpex.
Cool.
Yeah, I have come close, but because how much is it? Do you know how much it is at the moment? Is it about £40, something like that?
Yeah, Vorpex is it's around about that probably. But I know Depth 3D's free to use. So,
okay, right. Okay, I didn't realise.
That's probably why I do more videos on that, because people like the free things, I suppose. But
yeah. Okay, so Rog, what have you been up to this week? Why don't you give us a quick... Well, it's been just over 2 weeks since our last show, because we've delayed this one in hope of getting some big announcements and stuff, and there's been some stuff that we'll get into later on, but what can you tell us?
You're going to say bigger guests then?
Well, we're fingers crossed.
Unfortunately, never mind.
Last week I was playing, a couple of things we're going to talk about later on. This week, actually earlier on today, I had a look at Arcade Legend on Quest, which is basically a game about getting an old, dilapidated sort of space, filling it with arcade games and what you can play and stuff, and running this arcade. I'm not going to stay on this game because all I'll say is it's instant reprojection. And I think if you've listened to this podcast before, you know my views on reprojection by now. You move your hands about and you can literally see a totally clear double image of your hand moving about. You bring the menu up on your wrist and you move that about, it becomes unreadable because imagine PSVR, but like 10 times worse. The clarity of the reprojection, is just ridiculous. You can see a clear double image of your hands. If you move, when you're moving about, that's fine. The sort of like the space warp takes care of that. But no, I'm sorry. It's like any game that uses reprojection just to get itself running. I've got no time for it anymore. That's it. So I'll move on before I start getting really annoyed like I was earlier on today.
just on that, because you mentioned the PSVR, and of course a lot of games did run in reprojection on PSVR, and it was less. I think it was just less of an issue because it was reprojecting up to those 120 hertz, wasn't it? The problem is on Quest, it's reprojection up to 72 sometimes, so it's bigger impact. You notice it a lot more, I think.
Well, this is it. If you're running at half frame rate on Quest, it's running at 36 and reprojection upwards. At least on PSVR, you were getting 60 FPS, and then it was reprojection to 120. So it wasn't as noticeable, and I could deal with it. It annoyed me to some degree, but I could deal. I could get over it and deal with it. But with Quest, if you're running at 72 hertz, it's just awful, and people should not be releasing games like that. It really annoys me. But aside from that, this week, well, as far as VR goes, unfortunately, in Flatland, a little game called Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion released, which is like an updated version of the old PSP game of the same name. It's a prequel to Final Fantasy VII, and that came out. And in my world, anything Final Fantasy VII related sort of tops everything else, unfortunately. So I've been playing that. So I don't know if either you two guys are FF7 fans or not.
I've never played any Final Fantasy games. Hashtag pro gamer. But no, I have seen some videos of them, and I do like is the Final Fantasy VII one, did Luke Ross release a mod for that? I can't remember if it was that one or not. Not sure if Dr. Greg was playing it on his channel, and I might have watched it. So
I'm trying to remember how to speak with you after you said you've never played a Final Fantasy game.
No, I've not, dude. You know what? I can vaguely remember something years ago. I don't know. Was there one released on the Amiga?
No.
Final Fantasy game. No.
I'm going to make you mute here, Rog, because I've never played one either. I've played a little bit of Final Fantasy VII, but my wife played it back in the day apparently, and she loved it. But I've just never really got into them for some reason. I don't know why.
I think it's always an impossible question to answer. But if I had to name a favourite game of all time, FF7 would be mine, and it's almost a cliched answer, I think, at some points. But that would definitely be my favourite. So yeah. So Crisis Core's out anyway. It's a prequel, and it's I'm enjoying it. They've done a better job porting it's more than a port, and as I say, it's not quite a remaster. It's somewhere in between, but they've done a decent enough job. I'm enjoying that anyway.
What did you think of the Final Fantasy VII remake, by the way? Just quickly,
I thought it was excellent. I know some people really did not like what they've done.
Yeah.
Because the name remake is more. It's more than.
They changed the story, didn't they? I think.
Yes, it's.
I mean, this could be the one I'm thinking of as well. This was released not long back, right? It was like £60 or something like that.
It was a few. Well, it came out a couple of years back now. The remake, but right. I mean, without going too deep into it, it's not just a remake in name. It's a remake in the fact that it's generally considered that it's actually a sequel, even though it's pretty much mostly the same story.
Right.
There's a lot more going on underneath, and there's lots of theories about what's going to happen. Some people don't like it. I absolutely loved it, and it's got the best soundtrack in all the video games. Period.
Well, that's just incidentally, that's what got you into learning the piano, wasn't it? When you saw the live...
went to a Final Fantasy VII concert, and it changed my opinion of music, which is a crazy thing to say, and I've said it before, but it totally altered my perception of music. So, but. Anyway, that's a very long segue into, and I thought I'd mentioned this before, but I don't think I have. There was something I came across a while back on SideQuest, and it's a throwback to an old DK1 demo called Bestiary 11, however you pronounce that, which is basically it's the 3D models from Final Fantasy 11, the MMO. Just put in a very simple environment, and you can look at them, and that's all you can do. But I didn't realise until not long back that it had been ported to Quest, and it's just a nice little thing to look at if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, a Final Fantasy 11 fan, or just a Final Fantasy fan in general.
Yeah.
To be able to see all these creatures at scale is just incredible, and it's like a chocobo is as tall as I am, and looking one in the eye, it's like, wow, they're big.
Who made this? Who put it in SideQuest then? Is it just...
I can't remember. I'm assuming it's probably whoever did the original DK. DK1 demo.
Okay.
You know, I've no idea. I was just surprised when I came across it. You know, just randomly browsing on SideQuest. So if you're an
It's
FF
also
fan,
free, Rog, yeah.
oh yeah. It's a very simple demo. There's nothing to interact with. You basically turn your head one way, it shows a creature. You turn back another way, and it's changed it to a different creature. And you sort of just look backwards and forwards, and there's something different every time. And it goes all the way down from like a little Tonberry, all the way up to, you know, the big dragons and, you know, behemoths and stuff like that. It's great to see those creatures in VR at that sort of scale. But it also makes you think, oh, you know, why can't I play a proper MMO with these sorts of creatures in? It's
Yeah. The I'm just looking at the video now actually of this. So is you just literally turn your head and it regenerates. Yeah. Okay, right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, this was a DK1 demo back in the day.
Yeah,
and this is the sort of demos we had back then.
Yeah,
you know, they were non-interactive, nothing like, you know, you had the I don't know if you ever saw it, the Tetris demo where you sort of sat in a room and you had massive Tetris blocks falling down outside in the cityscape.
Oh, you know, I didn't see that, no.
Yeah, and at the time, these sort of things blew our minds, and there was totally non-interactive, but we thrived on that sort of stuff back in the day.
Yeah, definitely.
I never got into my PC wouldn't run a DK. I was aware of it, you know, I was aware of the Oculus funding and things like that, but the first time I got into VR was with the Oculus Go. So,
all right. Oh man, I tell you what. One day, if we get to another meetup again at some point, I'm going to have to try and get a laptop with a DK1 attached.
Yeah,
just to show, you know, because you had classic titles like Dumpy Going Elephants, which have never seen the light of day since, and they were only ever on the DK1.
Yeah. That will be really good. Yeah, you ought to do that, Rog, actually. That will be fantastic. Because I did try DK2 briefly. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think I've ever tried a DK1. I'm almost certain.
You need to try DK1 and then you will know the meaning of screen door effect.
Yeah, but I'll also know the meaning of field of view as well, won't I? Because
this is true. This is true. It's still the best Oculus field of view.
There we go. Okay, Lee, what have you been up to this past week? What have you been playing?
Well, like Rog, I did jump in Arcade Legend, but I just jumped in multiplayer. A friend of mine was streaming on YouTube, and I have got access to the game. The developer did give me access a while back, but I've not had a chance to try it. But I jumped in the multiplayer just to see what everything looked like final, because it got everything unlocked, all the arcade machines, just to give a general idea of what it was. And
was this the PC version or the Quest one?
This is the Quest version, yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
And I couldn't really, I don't know if I didn't look or pay any attention, but I was just busy talking to him and trying a few of the games.
Yeah.
And, it didn't seem too bad to me, but I think what he was saying was it took him about 5 or 6 hours, and that's everything they've got at the moment.
Yeah.
Until they add more to it. But I think they were putting a poll out on Twitter, maybe saying, anyone got any ideas for what sort of games they'd like? Because I wanted to play some Whack-A-Mole, but unfortunately that wasn't in there.
Yeah. Like I say, when you were moving around and turning your head and everything, that was fine. So obviously the spacewalk was taking care of that, but it always does seem to take care of head movements.
The other thing I had issues with really was I turned the vignette off because I thought that was a bit weird how that was on, even though I've got smooth locomotion and smooth turning. So I managed to turn that off, but when I went back into the multiplayer game, I'd still got it on. So that was like off-putting for me.
Yeah.
Plus there was no snap turning or anything like that for any newbies, from what I could tell. I don't know if you saw that.
I went into the option straight away, and I'm fairly sure I did have to turn smooth turning on. So I thought it must have defaulted to snap turning, although I don't know.
I did see that it got teleport, but my smooth turning was on by default. So
yeah, right, okay.
But there was no way to turn it up, and it is quite slow.
Yeah,
that always makes me a bit motion sick. So
that's a really bad thing, and I think it's something that new people might not be sort of aware of, in the fact that if you have smooth turning and you have it on a low turning speed, that's bad. Yeah. Yes, if you're suffering, turn the speed up, for goodness sake. Turn it up, because the faster the better. Because if you think about it in real life, you go to turn your head, your eyes have probably moved before you even started turning your head, and you're almost looking at the direction you're going to be turning towards, and it's fairly instant. You do not turn by slowly rotating with your eyes looking straight forward. So
An
yeah,
option to turn it up's always a good thing. And I always play mine on about 80% or try and get it higher. But saying that, while I've been using the Pico 4, I've not had any motion sickness whatsoever. So that's a strange one.
Yeah, that snap turning, I will say, like, if you turn the speed up, because you can do just a flick of like the controller then, and it's almost like a little snap turn, but a little bit better than a snap turn, isn't it then?
Yeah.
If you've got it really fast. I do think it's a good tip to do that, because if you have it too slow, it just makes your eyes go weird. It's not that it necessarily makes you feel ill or anything, but if you don't suffer from that kind of stuff, but it's just uncomfortable in a different way anyway, I think. But
yeah.
Okay, what else have you been playing, Lee?
I have been playing High on Life. I don't know if you guys have heard about this game.
That's the Squanch Games one, yeah?
That's right, yeah. The people who do like Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And I've been playing some of that. It's on Game Pass. It just popped on.
Oh.
So I thought, I might as well play it then. If you've got
didn't
Game
realise.
Pass, it's on there for free.
So this is a flat game, obviously. It's not.
It is a flat screen game.
Yeah.
So you might want to cut this bit out.
No,
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify for anybody looking this on Oculus or
I
anything.
did try it with Depth 3D, and it does work to some extent, but it was quite a strain on the eye. So I've left that for now. I do believe when Luke Ross's mod comes out, eventually it will work with that. So I think it'll work better. But yeah, I've been playing it in flat screen, and it is quite good. The gameplay of it, I was pleasantly surprised how satisfying it is, and the characters and the monsters and the diversity of things you can do. And I don't want to go into too much detail because I'll be here all night, but I don't want to spoil it for people either. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised how good it was. I was, shocked really, because I thought it'd be quite bad. But
Okay.
I need to pay more attention to Games Pass because I've got it. I think mine runs out middle of next year or something. I'll definitely
yeah,
have
you
a
want
look
to
at
drop
that
it
one.
on. If you're a fan of Rick and Morty, I mean, some bits. make you laugh.
I love Rick and Morty.
There's a very funny bit if you pause the game. Like I said, I won't give any spoilers, but you pause the game and resume it. I mean, it's very adult content, but yeah, it's funny.
It's just a shame the Rick and Morty game wasn't actually any good.
Yeah, I wasn't
was
too
terrible.
keen on that. Was that Trover? Something Trover?
Oh no,
was it?
so he's done a few,
You mean
hasn't
the
he?
actual-
Trover
Yeah, I
Saves
think-
Universe is supposed to be a decent one. I've got it in my library. I've never played
that,
it, but
that was okay. Yeah.
yeah, the Rick and Morty one was more like a job simulator type game.
Oh, the one where
And
he's
it
in the
was-
garage. Yeah, I know. what you mean.
Yeah. I
was just
thought it was okay for that. The time it came out, I thought it was okay, but
with all the material they had to work with and sort of how good Rick and Morty is, or at least how good I think it is anyway.
Yeah.
They could have done so much better.
maybe it's because I'm not really. I've seen probably about 3 or 4 episodes of Rick and Morty, so I'm not. I think I came from it from that point of view where I just thought it was an okay kind of game, really. But I did like I thought Accounting Plus and stuff. And Trover Saves the Universe, they were good, and I like the humour in them as well. I thought it was good. So yeah.
See, the thing with Rick and Morty, I find that some episodes you can watch, and then after it's done, you just sit there all emotional thinking, wow, how do I digest that? And then you'll watch another episode and think, what have I just watched? It's one of them.
It can be a mixed bag, but overall, it's so much more than you'd expect from sort of
it's very
basically.
clever.
Yeah.
Did they have?
Definitely.
I was just thinking because I know Justin Roiland, he's like a massive fan of VR. Anyway, that's why we're getting all of this stuff from Squanch there. But I don't know if because he writes it, he performs the voices as well. Does he have other writers involved in that show at all? Do you know, or is it just him? Because I'm always interested whenever I get like a comedy series or something like that, who actually writes it. I just like that aspect, and if it's just one person. I know it started with him. I don't know if he's got other writers in there now or not.
I have absolutely no idea. I mean,
no.
they must do. You've got to have people in there throwing other ideas in and refining stuff. It's like do you remember the old? I can't remember. I think it was the Hitchhiker's Game, the old text adventure. Bizarrely, I was reading something about that the other day, and Douglas Adams said at the time he wanted to do it all himself, but obviously he couldn't because he didn't have all the sort of like coding know-how that it would have been needed, and he got somebody else in. But apparently the other guy he got in was also that good with writing that Douglas Adams said later he wasn't quite sure where his writing sort of finished, and the other guys began. So
yeah, that kind of stuff's interesting to me. I like that. It's like I always remember. I know this is a tangent again, but going Conan O'Brien. wrote for The Simpsons, wrote some great episodes for The Simpsons as well, and stuff. I like hearing about the early stuff of The Simpsons for some reason, because some of the writers that did that, they are absolutely fantastic comedy writers and did some great stuff. And then you hear, because I had no idea Conan O'Brien wrote for The Simpsons until sort of relatively recently, but
Yeah.
sorry about that. A bit of a tangent, I know. Go on, Lee. What else have you been playing?
No, that's about it, really. Like I say, I just want to say it's very beautiful graphically as well. So you want to get installed, Roger, and see what you think. It'd be
Yeah, we'll
interesting.
do.
It's
Yeah.
very clever. I think I played 2 levels, and it's the amount of things you've got to do, and it's really, really good. But yeah, apart from that, I've been fixing OBS and mod mics and trying to get my PC to work, basically.
Well, actually, Lee, you're bang wrong there, because you've also been playing The Cabin, I believe.
Yes, I have.
Thank goodness for show
Yes.
notes.
Yes.
Yes, I just looked there and thought, oh yeah, I've got to mention The Cabin because I've been playing that. But yeah, I did message Darby at Soul Assembly just to make sure I could talk about this, and I did post that on the Discord for us to see. So yeah, I can talk about it, but I must mention that it was very early access,
Yeah.
the version that I played. But you guys haven't seen it, right?
No, see, you mentioned this behind the scenes, and you said The Cabin, and I was thinking, is that like an older game that I've just missed out on? And I was thinking, have I played it or have I not played it? But I didn't realise until, of course, I thought back to the Upload VR thing that this is an add-on to Drop Dead.
Yes.
This
it's
is
kind
the
of in
one-
the Drop Dead universe, yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is the one you went along to, isn't it? And then got suddenly starstruck with all the YouTubers who were
Yeah,
there.
this is the thing. If people aren't aware, I mean, shameless plug, it is on my channel, and I think it's the highlighted video. It's called The Cabin, surprisingly. And when I went, PD invited me to go with him, and I went down with Dr. Oculus, and he said, oh, we're going to been invited to test this game out. So, oh, yeah, cool. That'd be really good. So anyone I know going or anything like that? He went, no, just us 3 and a few other testers that we don't know. So I went, oh, fair enough. So as I walked in, there's Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis stood there, talked to people, turned around and gave me a wave. I was like, huh? So I turned around to PD and he's creasing with laughter. And he didn't tell me like Mike was going. So once I calmed down from that, because I'm a bit of a Mike fanboy, I turned around and then Nacy walked in. And then Kaz and Cherry, and then Mac in VR. And so I'm like, what's going off? So yeah, it was a very strange day. But
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Because these developers, where are they based? Where did you go? Is it Leamington
It's
Spa?
in Leamington Spa, yeah. It's really
Yeah.
pretty, beautiful town.
Yeah, it's not too far away either, is it? I guess.
No, I think it's about just over an hour, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. It took us to get there, and it's really, really pretty. So we tested the game out. So we're all called out individually to go and test with one of the devs, and yeah, I kind of enjoyed it. I don't know if you've seen. Oh, how can I explain? It's a kind of a bit like Resident Evil type thing where you've got various zombies coming at you, and you're in the cabin where you've got to try and escape. But you've got points, so there's 2 of you playing, so it's like a co-op game, and you get more points by killing more zombies, which enables you to open more doors or open crates to get prize and things like that, more guns, more ammo. And the aim is to try and escape. But I didn't get that far because I kept dying. It is it's a hard game. It's really, really hard.
Hashtag pro gamer.
Yeah, hashtag pro gamer. But what I've kind of liked, and I know some people are kind of a bit torn on this, was that it uses the meta avatars as your characters.
Oh right,
Right.
okay.
So I don't know what your guys feel on that is, using them in games, or whether you like them or not, because it is kind of, you can tell, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
I'm
really-
just looking at the video now. Actually, yeah, I can, because the trailer that they released, it didn't actually pop out to me straight away. But yeah, now you mention it, I can see them. I don't care that much about avatars either way. So if it's functional and they can integrate it in that way, I suppose it doesn't bother me that much. But I know other people have issues with them.
Yeah, I didn't mind it either. I thought it was quite good in a way. If people play, I don't know if people play Horizons or not, probably not, but if people do go in that and they're used to seeing their characters, and then when they're jumping in a game, they've got that familiarity of what they look like and what their friends look like, and it carries across, and it kind of gives more I don't know if it gives more effect for them playing it or what, but do you know what I mean? It's because they're used to seeing that as their character.
I think that's a good point as well, though. I think that everybody would like that, if I think the main issue that people have with it is that they just don't like the aesthetic of the avatars, and therefore if that's carrying across to all of these different applications, they don't like it in all of these different applications as well. I don't mind either way, but I wonder if, because that's the dream, what you just mentioned there is really like the dream, isn't it, where we all generate our own avatar, we've got flexibility and freedom to generate within bounds
one thing
what we want to what we want to do, and then carry that across to other stuff. But this it's probably,
I think it's because it maybe looks slightly out of context, because you've got all these zombies and how it looks, and then you're there with your bright avatar with your bright pink coat on and stuff like that. It kind of looks a bit weird, but I mean, they've got all this meta thing where I don't know if it's out yet or what, where you can have various clothes and stuff like that. You can buy things now, I believe, but
it is a good idea, and like you say, it would be cool to be able to wander into an experience and just recognize, a friend purely based on what their avatar looks like. But I think it's another thing that's been held back by mobile again. It's just I just don't see how it's going to continue on like that. I mean, it works fine in something like was it Forever Bowling? I think they used the meta avatars.
I
and games like that.
I think a few do. I think it was the recent one they brought out, the Paw game. That uses the meta avatars as well.
Yeah. Although I'll still never forgive Forever Bowling from when the first time I ever played it. I jumped into a game with Sean, and it gave me an afro as the default, as my default hair for some reason. But
so that's the cabin anyway. So check out that one.
You can sign up for if you go over to their Discord, and you can sign up to be a beta tester. I think there's another round coming up, so they do listen to feedback, and they do have quite a few people testing the game. So if you want to do that, people can, and they can see what it's like for themselves.
Yeah.
I think I sent the link to you guys as well.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did actually fill it in the other day, so we'll see.
Okay, and for me this week, I'm doing the video version, and I've got a snowfall overlay just to make it a little bit Christmassy, but I'm going to get rid of it because I think it's going to annoy people.
Is this the Christmas special then?
Well, I guess we can call it that, can't we? Why not?
Nah, humbug.
Oh dear. Okay, well I've got rid of it now. So I'm gonna get onto the Retro Computer Museum. We'll get onto that in just a second. Actually, before we get onto that, my week I've been playing some of the games that we'll be talking about. Compound and Hubris. We'll be talking about those in a moment. But other than that, really, what I've been jumping into a little bit is Contractors, and that's because Rog at the meetup at the Retro Computer Museum last week. Was it last week? Or was it the week before?
Week before?
Was it?
It was the,
How cool
was it? Was it?
Yes, it was. It was the week before. Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, God, my memory.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So Rog embarrassed me by giving me a very kind Christmas present. It's a little bit selfish of him, really, because I hadn't bought him one. So, but yeah, no, I was extremely grateful and very surprised by this. So Rog, because I had mentioned to him that I was thinking about 3D printing a gun stock to try and get into some of these first-person shooter games and stuff like that Sean and Tyler talk about on Rendered Reality, and I might even have mentioned that on this show. But Rog bought me as a gift. It's the Mamu Aspo 3
yes.
gun stock. Yeah. So.
All right.
Yeah, and. So this was a complete surprise to me, and I put it together the following day, I think, when I got it. And you've got one as well, haven't you, Rog? You warned me about putting this together. It's a little bit of a long-winded task. There's, I'm sure they could have streamlined the actually assembly of it a little bit. But
I'm not aware of this one stock. Is it the one where you've got one controller so far out in front of you, and you've got the other one close to you, so it's like a machine gun type holding thing? Is that what you mean?
That's it. Yeah. And it's also got like a stock attached to it to rest against your shoulder as well. So it just makes these kinds of things a little bit more immersive. And it's also magnetized with the controllers. So you can connect the controllers, disconnect them if you want to reload and stuff like that. And I went into Contractors because I thought, this is one of the games that Coffee and VR, Sean and Tyler always talk about. And I've barely played it. So I thought I'm going to jump in, I'm going to try and use it. And when I first went in with this freshly assembled gun stock, I've got to admit that by trying to learn game mechanics at the same time as trying to learn a gun stock is probably not the best way of doing it.
Agreed.
So what I'm doing, I'm taking a step back. And the thing is with contractors and me being a useless person, I don't know a lot about guns and stuff. And even like changing, like reloading a gun is almost like a mini puzzle to me in these VR games. So I think it's a good idea just to play without the gun stock for a while, get to grips with all of these different mechanics, and then I'll jump in with the gun stock. But I've got to say, like, the gun stock itself is very high quality. I mean, you can tell that it takes a bit of work to put together. It probably took me about, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour to put together in total. And it's not like the hardest thing once you've got the basics, but it's just a little bit finicky to get all of these things together. And I can't wait. Once I've got to grips with the actual mechanics of contractors, then I'll probably get back into this gun stock stuff. But Rog, what did you think of the gun stock? Have you tried it much yet at all?
Yeah, it's pretty much been exactly the same experience. The problem being that I haven't really played many games like Contractors where there's more than, actual mechanics involved. So you go in there, you've got this gun stock, all of a sudden you want to reload something. It's like, hang on a minute, how do I reload this gun? And how do I get the muscle memory required to be able to like unsnap the controller from a stock, grab a magazine, put it back? And it's like, whoa, this is too difficult. This is really hard. And like you, I need to go back and get the basics of the game down before I actually use a gun stock with it. Because I remember one of the first times I ever played a game with Sean and Tyler, I think it might have been Pavlov, I can't remember. It was like a zombie mode. And the gun stock kept spawning, half of them. I didn't know how to reload, and I was like, come on, somebody teach the useless Brit how to reload a gun. It was...
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel at the moment. I have been in Contractors a couple of times doing the single player stuff. I'm not going to do the multiplayer stuff for a long time, I don't think, till I've got to grips with a single player, like the wave shooter based stuff. The zombies I've been into a couple of times, and just getting to grips with the actual mechanics of it. Because I played a little bit of Onward. Did you ever play Onward, either of you guys?
I've no idea. I can't remember.
So, no.
I don't know. I think I'm maybe Zero Caliber at one point. I don't think.
I mean, I don't think
so.
Contractors. That's the one what's got like Halo mods and things like that on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did briefly play it, but I got like kind of stuck, same as you go, how to reload and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I know.
Because I mean, my best ever effort at things like that was Modern Warfare 2. But I don't mean like the re-release now. I mean the one from 13 years ago.
Yeah.
I played something like that.
Yeah, so Contractors, I'm going to stick with it. Actually, Sean did message me after I said that I've got these gun stock. He did say, don't give up. Try to stick with it because it's not necessarily like the most natural thing when you first go into it. But once you've got to grips with it, that's when it's gonna shine.
Yeah, you definitely need to sort of get the muscle memory down of like unclipping like one of the controllers to grab a magazine, etc., and then to be aware in real space where that is, where that's located to actually snap it back onto the actual stock as well. It's yeah.
I can definitely see how it would help the immersion of it. When you're pulling that to your shoulder and you're looking down the sights and you've got the gun in your hands. And
I mean, from an accuracy point of view, just running through the firing range, it's just so much better because. Yeah, you're physically holding something. And I suppose it's like with the aim control. Well, I'll say with the aim controller when it didn't drift. The aim controller, you're physically holding something that's, the controls where they're attached together, and it feels so much more accurate. But you do seem to lose some speed as a trade-off. So it's speed versus accuracy from what I can tell so far.
Yeah, also, so because you have to calibrate this as well in game, which is a relatively straightforward process. But the one thing I noticed is you have to sort of offset the pivot of the controllers themselves, so they're slightly leaning in the opposite direction to your hands. Does that make sense? I know I'm not probably describing this.
I was going to turn one of mine because I'd not done that, because it was fine while you were gripping both of them, but as soon as I took my hand off my more forward hand off to grab a magazine, the gun model seemed to sort of suddenly pivot to the right.
Yeah.
It was a bit strange, which meant when I went to put the controller back onto the stock, I was looking at the model, which was wrong because the model had actually moved, and I wish it wouldn't sort of move. It's
I think
can't describe it any better than that.
Yeah, I think there's something where you're not gripping the front, it will sort of lift up, doesn't it? Or
it sort of almost angles to the right.
Yeah,
or it did for me anyway. Which meant when I was looking at it, I was trying to. My physical hand was trying to line up with the actual virtual model, which then wasn't accurate. So I was missing the magnet.
I think that's intentional, the way they've done it, because they've obviously done that for some reason. But this is, I mean, anybody that knows about guns, they're going to be laughing at us three idiots who don't know what the hell we're talking about. But it's definitely something I'm going to stick to, and I've got contractors, so I'm going to try to play a little bit of the single player and get to grips with that before I go back into the gun stock. But I might go back into Onward, because Onward was because that was the first one. I played quite a lot of that back in, I say a lot, not really a lot, but for me it was quite a fair amount for a multiplayer first person shooter back in whenever it came out, and I did enjoy that, but it's probably changed a lot now anyway. So but I know Contractors seems to be the go-to at the moment, because they have so much content and stuff like that, and updating it all the time.
It's Crossbuy as well, right? I think if you've got it on the Quest, you've got it on the Rift S as well, on the Quest store.
I've not checked.
I think I've got it on everything, because at various points I think Sean threw codes at me, so I've got it on Steam, I've got it on Quest.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. No, just to mention, Sean did give me a code for Contractors on Quest. So because I wanted it, I was thinking like maybe I'll play it through the PC or something like that, but I just wanted like a native Quest version so I can jump in and out of it. It does make it a little bit easier sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get on to the place where I received that gift, which is the Retro Computer Museum, and we did have a meet-up. So Rog, myself, Lee, Dazed Netic, PD, unfortunately Paradise Decay couldn't make it, and Mac in VR also came. So we all had a great day. I'll pass it over to Lee. This is your second one, isn't it? The Retro Computer Museum.
It is the second. Yeah, it's mine. I know you've been a lot more times than me, right? But it's the second one I got to. But I kind of got there a little bit late, as I took PD to the hospital to have his eye operation in the morning, and I think Mrs. PD was slightly worried. Oh, you're going to miss your day. You're going to miss your day. I said, look, don't worry. I'll turn up at some point, and I'm sure I'll have it like an hour with the guys, and then. Because it's always rammed, isn't it? It's always really, really busy anyway. So I did manage to get there, but I don't think I got there till about 4 o'clock, wasn't it, Roger? I think I saw you in
something like that, yeah.
Park. So I didn't get there till 4. And obviously I burst in, really excited to see everybody, and I think everyone was about ready to go home by the time I got there.
Sorry, go.
No, I was going to say, because we were still there, I think, at least a couple of hours, weren't we?
Like 7:15 we left to, wasn't it? Yeah. 7, something like that.
Yeah, it was quite funny, because I think at that point I'd gone out to the car to grab Gary's present, and he just sort of drove by with the window down.
Yeah, saying, "Hey, dude, I'm here." Oh, that's what you want to get there. Oh, right, yeah. But I mean, I did bring the Pico 4 in as well. This might go off on a tangent, so I do apologise. I think Mac bought his in as well, so you'd already had to go with that, hadn't you? But I was kind of interested to see what you thought about the Pico 4, even though you only had a brief go of it.
Yeah, well, I tried Max when he turned up. Unfortunately, I think due to sort of like being inside and outside and the temperature conditions, I put it on and I instantly fogged up, which is the first time that's happened to me in goodness knows how long. So I thought, I'll leave it for a bit. And then, you brought yours along, and I think I had a bit of a longer go in that. And it's like, oh, well, man, if that thing had a DisplayPort cable or a HDMI cable, I'd have bought one in an instant.
Yeah.
It's 2 reasons mainly. First, the lenses, just that feeling that those lenses are large. When you bring it up to your face, there's none of that feeling of like adjusting your eyes to look through these sort of like smaller holes into VR. Just having those size lenses just makes a world of difference. And there's
You can tell a big difference.
Somebody talk about something, and words are failing me.
No, I mean, you can tell a big difference because I predominantly use the Pico 4 now for everything. And I know you're on about DisplayPort and things like that, but using virtual desktop, and because of the clarity of the lenses and the high display of them, it looks even better than what I've used on the Rift S and even with Quest 2 with the link cable. I know that's not quite the same, but the detail. I did a quick video of me playing Alex, and I don't know if people already want to go and watch this, but I basically look at bottles and look at stickers on things, just because you can actually read. They're so clear, you can read what they say.
I mean, the Pico for me, I feel the same. Like the lenses, I think the lenses are the things that really blew me away, and also the software itself, because people have been complaining about the software. I didn't really have a big problem with it, but I'd we only jumped in and out really of different things that either Mac had shown us and then you show me, so it's difficult to get a good idea of the software. What do you think? Because you've used it a long time now. What do you think? How it does?
I've had no issues with the software whatsoever. I did have a slight tracking issue with my right controller when I first got it, and I think it updated to 5.22 and it fixed it. So I was having a bit of issues with that, and it also seemed to have made the pass-through even clearer. I don't know if that's just me or what, because I mean, I've mentioned to you, Gary, I'm sure it was Gary, that I mentioned with the Quest 2, I struggle to see clearly through it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an IPD issue or the fact that it's only got three slots where you can move it, and even the middle one, which is supposed to be, for me, it's still, I mean, the sweet spot's like a grain of rice for me. It's I just get God rays and blurring and every time I use it. But with the Pico 4, it's huge, so I can see really clearly in that. I don't get no headaches or anything. So
that's one of the things as well with the Pico 4, that and the pancake lenses, the lack of sort of Fresnel God rays. It's like, this just looks so much better. And I know people say with the Quest or another Fresnel headset, well, you only really see those God rays and the bloom in high contrast areas. But I think what the Pico showed to me is, even though when you're using maybe a Quest and you're using a more brightly lit scene, and you think, well, I'm not really seeing any the bloom and the God rays affect anything. You are, just because you're seeing a brighter screen doesn't mean it's not there. I think what it's doing there in the Quest is softening and almost blurring the image slightly, not massively, but slightly. So you are seeing that effect. And then when you look through a Pico, and to me, it looked just shockingly sharp.
It's way sharper, right?
Yeah,
especially lettering. And I mean, if you stare at it, so when you first load it up and you're staring at the screen when it first loads up, and concentrate, you can see a very, very slight screen door effect. But that's if you're really staring and looking at it. Now, when you're playing games or doing anything else, watching a film and that, you don't see it at all.
Yeah,
and it's got like a cool thing with the movies as well, where it's got like an IMAX. I don't know if it's a filter or if it alters the contrast, and when you click that on, it just makes the film pop even more when you're watching that.
Yeah, well, you showed me a little bit of that, didn't you, with the Pico, and that was really impressive. That was, and that was one of the things that I took away, just how good. And I guess I'm coming back to the lenses again. It was all to do with that, I think, really. And this is the thing, isn't it? Pancake lenses, I think they've proven themselves, and some people
got to definitely be the way to go. Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think they can go back to the other lenses. I don't think they can keep bringing them out.
Well,
I really don't.
There's an interesting thing because, I mean, just quickly, you've tried the Quest Pro, haven't you? Paradise Decay's Quest Pro, because I've heard that the lenses on that are even better than on the Pico 4. What do you think of that?
They do look clearer, yes. It's hard to explain. It's definitely a lot more clearer. It's weird though, because it's a Quest 2, because you put it on and everything's exactly the same as when you've got your Quest 2, except the lenses are really good and it's really clear. Right. You've got no God rays, you've got no blurring. It's just way, way, way sharper. And the lenses are, I wouldn't say they're £1,200 clearer than the Pico 4, do you know what I mean? But they are clearer.
Yeah.
I know you're paying for all the eye tracking and face tracking, which is kind of cool, but I don't know if that's, really for anything that I could benefit with, apart from going in Horizons. But
it has got me slightly, I wouldn't say slightly worried, but wondering if Sony have made a mistake by not going with sort of like pancake lenses for PSVR 2, because that's looking like it might be one of the last headsets that really ships with Fresnel lenses. And we've heard they are supposed to be good, and they are clear, but it's just not going to be quite the same.
I think
it's got OLED screens though, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to make a massive difference. I mean, just like when did you guys have the original Quest as well?
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
No.
So I mean, Gary, you can remember those blacks, right?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, around that time though, a lot of because the early ones, like the original Rift and then the Vive, they all had OLED displays as well anyway. Yeah. So coming from that, and I'm one of those people where it's like, we talk about performance on this show a lot because I notice performance problems. I don't like performance problems in VR, whereas something like between OLED and LCD, I can see the difference, but I'm one of those people that doesn't bother. I'm not as concerned about that kind of difference between those two kinds of displays, which I know some people really, really want that OLED, really deep black display. And I do too, but it just doesn't bother me as much as I expected it to, really, between the difference between them.
Same here. Sorry, Roger, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, it's how with the OLED thing, I had a CV1, so I was used to it there, and so the Rift S shocked me, and the Quest 2 as well. But I got over it and got used to it, and then you sort of look back at the CV1, and it's like, yeah, okay. At this point in time, I'd rather take the higher resolution than the OLED, because the CV1, as soon as you look back at that again, and I can instantly see the screen door. Where with the Quest 2, it's never bothered me. The screen, it's like you're saying with the Pico, with the Quest 2. If you look for it, yes, you can see it, but in just normal usage, I never think about the screen door at all. And that's, where I always used to with the CV1. But now we've got to this sort of level where you sort of get into around 2K by 2K sort of panels. I think now I'd rather go and say, I'll take OLED rather than increase the resolution more.
Yeah. And also it's like to do with the pixel arrangement on the displays originally, because this Rift CV1 and then the Vive, they had this pentile pixel arrangement, which meant that it looked lower resolution than an equivalent resolution on an RGB stripe display, which is actually what the original PSVR had. So even though that was much lower resolution, it didn't look that much lower resolution because it had this different kind of pixel arrangement. And
I'll talk. No, I'll disagree. No, I will cut you off mid-sentence and totally disagree.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah. The CV1 always looks sharper, regardless of the pixel arrangement. And maybe it was to do with the fact that you were getting super sampling, etc. But that pentile arrangement always seemed to lend itself well to anti-aliasing in my eyes. Whereas you looked at a PSVR, and no matter what you did, you were limited by 1080p. You limited by that resolution. And CV1 was only a little bit more. It wasn't a massive increase in resolution, but it always looked way sharper to my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the advantage of super sampling and stuff like that on there, which I think is a big thing to mention. But the original reason why they went over to LCD displays rather than sticking with OLED is because it was easier to get that RGB stripe pixel arrangement, which gave it like an extra boost to the resolution, even though. So I think the fact is now the PSVR 2 as well, it's an OLED display and it will still have this RGB stripe pixel arrangement, and it will. Yeah. And by all accounts, of course, I think I'd take an OLED now if, like you, Rog, I think I agree. I think we've got to the point where the resolution has hit a point where, I'm more than happy to stick to that and get a better blacks. Yeah.
I think the problem with the original PSVR, because of the resolution and that, full RGB per pixel, you could clearly see the squareness of the pixels if you looked. They were squarely defined.
Right. Okay.
And Pentile hid that because of that weird arrangement. I think it sort of hid hid some of that problem. So I don't
Maybe,
think it's
yeah.
as bad as a lot of people always thought it was. I think a higher res pen-tile display could look perfectly fine.
I do remember though, like with Elite Dangerous, people would always recommend with your cockpit, because you can have custom colours on your cockpit of all the displays, and people will always recommend if you've got a Rift CV1 or a Vive, use green or blue, because they've got more pixels of the green or blue pixels in those headsets.
Because every pixel had a green element, where the red and the blue element for that pixel were shared with the neighbouring pixel, because of the weird way it was arranged. But every pixel had a full green pixel, so that was always recommended.
I'm a big fan of the Rift S, and after using the Pico, even when I go into the Rift S now, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thanks, Meta, for cancelling the Rift S2.
I will say, like, when I first went in the Rift S, that was like one of the clearest images I'd seen up to that point.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's because I can't see in the Quest 2 right, and then when I had to go on PD's Rift S, I was like, why is this so clear? And because you can dial the IPD in perfectly, then maybe that made a difference for me, because I think that's something else that sometimes doesn't get as much, as it should do, that how important the IPD settings are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm going off tangent big time.
Oh, well, we've long since... This is the Retro Computer Museum talk.
Oh, yeah. We both had a CPC 464, right, Gary?
That's right, yeah. I really wanted to spend about 45 minutes on my Amstrad CPC 464, but we've gone through that time now, and we'll have to move on to the next topic. But the Retro Computer Museum, we had a great time. Rog, have you got anything you want to mention on the visit this time?
Not that I can think of. No, I think that covers it all.
I think we've covered it. But it was great to see, both you guys and Mac in VR as well. That was great. We had a good time and tried all of these old... I've been showing on the YouTube version of this podcast, I'm showing some of the footage of the virtuality stuff, and just as trying the Pico 4.
I mean, it's a memory thing though, doesn't it? I mean, if people are similar age... I mean, I'm late 40s, but people my age, what used to, have the Commodores or used to play with the VIC-20s and all these really old machines, you can go back and you can see these, and to see them working and still playing, even though I'm on my 15th PC because they keep breaking, it is amazing. And you do remember, like Astro Wars and things like... Is it Astro Wars?
Yeah.
Astro Grandstand. I saw they've got a giant arcade cabinet full of it. And I was like, my God, I used to play that when I was like 5 years old. And I can remember my dad bringing it in and me sitting there with it on my lap and playing, thinking this is brilliant.
Yeah, they've got loads of stuff there. The library as well. They've got loads of games, like multiple copies of games and stuff there of pretty much every system you can think of, I think. But it was a great day.
The Cinemaware games as well. I was a big fan of the Cinemaware series on the Amiga.
Yeah, it came from the desert.
Boxed up and
and Rocket.
I mean, if you've got any of those in your loft, any of the dads what's listening, you've got your Amiga in the loft, they're worth a fortune now, the Cinemaware stuff, so check eBay out.
Yeah, same with some of the Psygnosis stuff as well. If you've got mint copies of the Psygnosis stuff, it's worth a bob or two.
Big money.
Yep.
Definitely. And since Gary's forgotten about something what happened there, we'll move on to the next topic.
Ooh.
Oh, no, I've not. Well, I had. Now I've not. Because I was playing footage of that earlier, actually. And so, just to make it perfectly clear, I completely destroyed Rog. I wasn't going to mention it because you bought me a very kind Christmas present. But now you brought it up, I destroyed Rog at Dactyl Nightmare. So I think overall, though, we are still even, aren't we?
We're actually 1-1 because all the games before these last two games have always been draws. So yes, we're 1-1.
When I came in, who won, right? Because that's one of my first questions, right? Who won this time?
Yeah, and did I? I think I must have said absolutely obliterated him. Everyone was cheering. To my memory, everybody came from the entire Retro Computer Museum, came and watched us and was cheering me on, and that's my memory. It wasn't that, of course. It was two middle-aged men playing a 30-year-old game in VR, which...
Been like that.
Strange though, right? Because did you play it originally when it came out? I can remember playing this at a local shopping mall called Med Hall.
Yes.
Sheffield, and it was set up, and it was like free to have a go, and it was the exact same one.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
I can just remember moving around a lot more freely and being able to move easier. But I don't know whether it's because I'm old now and I can't take the weight of the headset, or I don't know.
I think it's age. But yeah, I remember I played it there as well, and also they had Legend Quest set up in Beatties in Meadowhall as well back in the day.
Yeah, Beatties is where I played that back in the day. It was a sit-down one, the one that I played.
All right.
And we actually tried to get it running. So the guy that runs this, Simon Marston at the Retro Computer Museum, he keeps all of these VR machines. He's got a lot, stored away as well, but these are the ones that are available. And he had a copy of VTOL, the older jet fighter game in one of these virtuality machines. And I sat down to play it, but unfortunately, I couldn't get it working. So that's what I played when I was around 11 years old, and I just wanted to get that hit of nostalgia. But maybe next time, maybe we can sort it out for next time.
Yeah,
I mean, there may be a move next time. They're on about moving, right, to the building across from it, which is like 3 times bigger or whatever.
They've been wanting to do that for a few years now, haven't they?
Yeah, I think it depends on when the lease comes up for the people that are there, and if they've got the funds to do it, because it's a registered charity, the Retro Computer Museum, so they're relying a lot on funds and stuff. And they sell, I mentioned earlier, they've got multiple copies of these games and stuff, and they do sell them at these events. So if there's some stuff that you're looking for, then it's a good place to try and pick up some stuff as well. But yeah, that's Retro Computer Museum meetup. We'd been building up to it for a long time, so it's right that we mention it here. But now we'll get on to some VR stuff, some recent VR stuff. And the first one we wanted to talk about is Compound on the MetaQuest. Sorry, why I keep saying Oculus today for some reason. But yeah, so
it's the right thing to say.
It is, isn't it? And also, did you see the Palmer Luckey tweet?
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No?
So Scarred Ghost put a tweet up about something to do with the name Oculus and mentioned Palmer Luckey, and then Palmer Luckey replied to say something along the lines of the Oculus name isn't mine right now, like sort of ... Along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, and I'm probably making more of it than it actually was, but that's sort of what it was. And so I don't know if he's trying to buy the Oculus brand back at some point in the future or something like that, but it'll be interesting. What did you make of that, Lee? What did you think?
Yeah, I saw that as well. Wasn't it? Has he been doing something with? I don't know if I've read the right tweet. Something with Submarine or something. He was doing something. I can't remember.
Well, yeah, with his defense company in it.
Yeah, that was it. And then I thought the same thing when he put, not at the moment in time, but it was kind of a hint to in the future. Maybe I'd like that back.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that as well. It'd be very interesting. I mean, it's strange that Meta still got half the Oculus logos on half the things that we use still now anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit confused. Either going full hog or don't at all.
Yeah.
I wish they'd not gone at any at all, to be honest, because people asking me what Oculus have you got. I'm like, well, it's not an Oculus. You know what I mean?
Just spit in the face, I suppose. That's what you do. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll talk about Compound on the MetaQuest 2. This is a game that has been out it's been in early access on Steam for a very long time. I should have researched it yet again, and I think it was 2017 this first came out. Might have even been 2016, I don't know, but it's a sort of retro stylized first person shooter, a roguelite, and now it's been released on the Quest 2, and it's by Not Dead Games. Before I get into my impressions, which I'm eager to do, it's by Not Dead Games for £14.99 on the Quest Store, $19.99. So, yeah, I really love this. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So, of course, it draws me in the first place because of the retro aesthetic, but that is almost irrelevant after a certain point in playing this game, because I'm just completely addicted to this. I've never been into roguelikes or roguelites at all. I've tried to play them. I've tried to play things like Hades on my Steam Deck and stuff. And as much as I can see the attraction to that, it never really felt that great to me. And it never had that thing where I wanted to do one more run. Whereas Compound is just completely the opposite. I played this a long time ago when it was in early access. And it was very similar in some ways, but also a different game from what I remember. And it took me by surprise. I expected to play maybe an hour or two of this game, and I'd be done with it, enough to give some impressions on the Quest version on this show. But I just can't stop playing it. There's something about the way this game feels more than anything else in terms of playing it. And when I've spoke to Rog, while in preparation for this show, I've sort of made this comparison to Blaston in some ways, because I don't know if you're aware of Blaston. It's a Resolution Games title, which we'll get onto a little bit later on. But Blaston is this game where you're up against, it's a duel, and you're up against another player. It's a multiplayer game, but you're standing on these podiums, and it's room scale. You have to dodge with room scale and shoot these slow firing weapons. Some bullets move faster than others, but it's about dodging and choosing the right weapon to beat your opponent. And Compound just gave me this feeling, and it's not that kind of game at all. It's a roguelike. You move through these levels. It's got smooth locomotion, but it's got these slow moving bullets that you can dodge. And I just can't stop playing this game by standing in one spot, turning around with my Quest 2 and dodging these bullets while popping off, 3 headshots, dodging bullets at the same time. There's something about it that just keeps me addicted to this, and I absolutely love it. I'm struggling. I meant to make notes before we went into this show, because there's so much I wanted to say about this, because this is my go-to Quest game at the moment. Honestly, there's nothing else that I really want to play. I've pushed through Hubris this past week, which we'll also talk about, but at the same time, all I really wanted to do with my spare time is go through another run of Compound. I've finished it on easy. I've gone through a complete run on easy, and it's also got 2 more difficulty settings, which I'm working my way through as well. But yeah, it's more or less about how this game feels to play than anything else, from my point of view. And there are a few problems which we can discuss. But before we get into that, I'll pass it over to Rog.
I had a very different experience with this. I played it for an hour, and that's it. I've had my fill with it. I just found it a bit boring. That's probably the wrong word. And I'm struggling with this game because it's not a bad game. I can clearly see that. And judging from literally everything I've read about it, other people's views, I'm in an absolute minority. But I just found it uninspired, bland. It just did nothing for me. It really didn't. And I think one of the biggest problems I had with it was the actual sort of the gun mechanics, because it's sort of almost, it's an arcade game, and it sort of promotes using, being able to dual wield stuff. And this is where the first problem comes in, because at default, without using any of the modifiers and mutators that you can use, you have to manually reload everything, and if you've played any other game before, if you're dual wielding weapons and you have to manually reload like a pistol, so if you're dual wielding pistols, you have to reload each one. You have to put one away, reload one, do the other. And this game, it's the way it handles your guns. I'm not a fan. Basically, I can't remember if it's the A or the B button and the.
Yeah, it's the B button, I think. Yeah.
And then X or Y on the other controller. If you only got one gun per hand, it'll put that gun away. But what you can do is you can put that gun away, then pick another gun up, and then it'll toggle between them, so you can cycle between weapons. Now, if you want to reload, if you're dual wielding, you want to reload a gun. Obviously, you need to put one away, grab some ammo, reload that. But it doesn't holster the weapon. You've got no holsters. It just leaves it that sat there floating in midair. And the amount of times I was running down the corridor, sort of let go of my gun to grab some ammo to reload my other gun, only to be led like 5 meters down the corridor with my other gun floating in midair behind me, really wound me up. It's like, why can't you holster the weapons? If I let go, drop it down to my side or maybe over my shoulder or whatever. I really did not like the way it handled that. Now, there are mutators there's like a little vending machine, and you can select different modifiers to the game, and you can auto reload the weapon, and that does work. It's a slower process, but it does mean you can sort of dual wield and don't have to worry about it as much. But I don't know, it just didn't grab me visually either, even despite the retro aesthetic, which I should have loved. It just felt the game just felt bright and overlit all the time. There was just no atmosphere to it. I just didn't really like it that much. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
It's not a bad game. It gives you options to alter how you play the game, so that's good. But I was just, and maybe it is, again, like yourself, the whole thing with like roguelites and roguelikes. Not exactly a massive fan per se. Not that I don't like them, but it's rare I'll come across a game like that where what I do like. And Hades is a good example because that was praised everywhere.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I just didn't. I wasn't a fan. I played it once and I was like, I don't see what the fuss is with this game.
No.
Alternatively, I don't know if you ever played Dead Cells, which was like a 2D side-on scrolling roguelite. I loved that. That was an absolutely brilliant game. So that was probably the first sort of roguelite where I thought, I absolutely love this. I get it. I can see what they're trying to do, and that changed up they changed up the levels and the gameplay, and yeah, that were great. But this, now I've got no intention of going back to it.
Yeah, it's when we first spoke about this, you brought up some of those issues that because we didn't know about the mutators at that point as well, and I shared some of your issues, but even then, even at that stage, I still knew that this game had me, and as a roguelite, which again I've barely got into any of these at all, this is just one which has got me completely hooked. And the mutators, I'm wondering, because I think you have to play through and unlock the mutators. One of the things, the one that I use in every run now is Old Schooler, which allows you to just walk over items. They're automatically picked up, and it will also automatically reload, at least for me. And the reason I'm thinking, because I think we've mentioned this behind the scenes where you said it didn't reload for you on that Old Schooler.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's because I've also unlocked some other mutators and that's somehow added in, because originally I was under the impression that you could sort of combine mutators before you went into a run, but it doesn't seem like you can do that. You can choose one, and yeah, I'm going through things are just, I'm automatically picking up things are automatically reloading. So yeah, I don't know what the difference is there, but that does make a big difference to how the game plays and how it feels, I think.
Yeah. That was another bugbear with not automatically picking ammo up. That really annoyed me as well.
Yeah,
especially when you ran over armor, and that was instantly picked up.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's frustrating that part is. It didn't really stop me from enjoying the game, but it was a little bit of a frustration. You stop, you have to, if you're dual wielding, you have to drop one of your guns, grab the ammo, or grab the food for your HP, and then pick up your gun again. It floats in the air next to you. But yeah, I mean, like I say, this is one that I'm not going to stop playing. I think I'm going to try to go through. I'm going to go through on normal. I've got a fair way through a run on normal, and I'm going to try and do hard as well, but I'm probably not up to that level. The other thing is, as you go through these, you have little surprises with each run. So you'll go through like on easy, and you'll have a few sort of mini boss levels like later on, but those mini bosses will start earlier on if you do it on normal difficulty, for example, and you'll get different enemies that start to appear. So I do like how it changes things up and mixes things up, and this is probably me talking pretty ignorantly of roguelites in general, because I'm sure they probably all do this, but yeah, it's just I honestly don't know what it is about this game, because you've got some good valid points there, Rog, but for me, I just can't stop playing it.
I mean, I will definitely say to anybody listening, probably ignore what I've said about it, because this seems to be a universally loved game, and so my opinion is out of the ordinary. Definitely, it's not a common opinion. So give it a go and make your own mind up. Definitely on this one.
Yeah, from what I've seen, everybody does seem to love it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've not tried. I've got this Steam demo downloaded because there's a a demo you can download on Steam for it.
Yeah.
I'm not got it on Quest 2, but I mean, I'm a big fan of the the pixel 80s type of things anyway. So
yeah.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I preferred Shock Troops to this, but that was a more linear, more structured game with moodier lighting, definite set pieces that happened, and maybe it's just that's my sort of preference over a randomized game.
The thing about this game, and like I said, I mentioned it earlier, the thing that really gets me about this game is standing in one space, having the room scale approach to it, where you can literally dodge these. I think I've discovered I'm just a fan of shooters where you've got slow moving bullets, because I love Blast On and I love this. The fact that you can actually see the bullets come in, dodge out of the way, pick off headshots at the same time. And I did see a review of this that was actually a very positive review, but they were playing like forward facing and using the artificial turning on the right thumbstick. And I, to me, that would take all the joy out of this game. That is one of the things that I will say. I think, to me, and people are probably different, of course, to me in how they feel about this, but to me, this is all about just standing in one spot, using the room scale, dodging out of the way. It just makes a big difference to how this game feels to me. And that's the enjoyment.
Did you ever play Blasters of the Universe?
Yeah, I did a long time ago. I think Anthony, there's your mention, Anthony, on this show. He likes that, and I think he recommended it to me.
That was good. If you like sort of like the slow moving bullet hell type sort of games, that was a great one.
Yeah.
I mean, I have played Blast On. I played it when I played it with PD, and we played the Wiki Wild Wild West update. I mean, it wasn't called that, but we just kept saying Wiki Wild Wild West while we're doing it. And yeah, it was kind of cool with the slow moving bullets trying to dodge out of the way. I couldn't dodge at all because I just sucked at it. But, and he was cheating as well. If you listen to PD, cheat.
And just quickly, I won't be. I can't let this go. But the video I'm showing here, this is like on my first run. So the vanity in me is just letting people know that I'm much better than this now. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, I'm just embarrassed by it. But yeah, this love it. So anyway, that's Compound on the Quest 2. The next game we wanted to get into is Hubris, which is a PC VR game, long awaited. There was a demo a long time ago. I think I played the demo probably over a year ago now. And Hubris is a science fiction adventure game, and it's by Cyborn. It's for £34.99 over here in the UK and $39.99 in the US. And I'll go over to Rog first on this one. What did you think of Hubris?
Do we have to talk about it? Disappointment. Major disappointment. I'd not played the demo. I'd seen the videos of it, and it was, like I say, it's one of those ones where I think everybody was waiting for it. And it starts off, and you're on a ship to start with, and you get the tutorial. It's fine. It looks nice, etc. You get over to like a almost like a drop pod, like a stasis pod or something, and it's like walk into that. So I walked into it and I fell through the scenery. But, oh, that's a good start. At which point it put me back in the level. I thought, okay, so it auto recovered and it brought up a message saying your floor space may be set incorrectly. It looks like it looks like you're too high up, sort of thing. I thought, well, yes, I am tall, but my floor space is definitely set correctly. It says, do you want? I think it says, do you want to apply a fix, or we will apply a fix and cap your height? I thought, oh well, they've thought about it at least. So okay, do that. Walked into the pod, fell through the floor again and again. It's like, so okay, so you found a problem, you've implemented a fix, and it doesn't work. So the fix was actually me having to sort of like crouch down to walk into this pod, so I didn't fall through the scenery and I could get onto the next part. So that was a good start.
Right. Yeah.
So you get onto this alien planet, and it looks the part. It looks very nice. A lot of people have been saying, "Oh, it reminds me of Halo." Bizarrely, it reminded me of, if you remember the original Unreal game, not the Amiga Unreal game, but the original Epic Unreal game
Yes,
from
yeah.
97, 98, whenever it was. And the first time you walked out onto that alien world from the crashed ship on that game. And I think the colour palette, I think it was the colour palette what got me. It sort of reminded me of that instantly. And it's like, oh, this is cool. And you work your way through the landscape with a lot of climbing, a swimming mechanic, what seems to work. And I thought the climbing mechanic worked quite well as well, until I actually mentioned it on Mac's stream as he was playing it. And I went, oh, at least they got the climbing right. He goes, you're kidding. He goes, like, it keeps pulling me into and dropping me through the scenery. I thought, oh, okay. So I didn't have the climbing problems that other people have apparently had. But yeah, you get into it, and it just doesn't. It doesn't do much in the way of sort of building up suspense or world building. It's just, I just found it poor. The exploration is just sort of meh. There's no real sort of alternate ways to go, or from what I played anyway. You know, there's little, maybe a side passage here or a side passage there, which then instantly brings you around to the same place anyway as you're going through that initial landscape.
Very linear, yeah.
It is, and then once you're inside, it seems extremely linear. Graphically looks fine, but it just falls apart everywhere else. The combat just seems sort of dull. The story's sort of forgettable. Another thing, you've got one of those things which have become rather hated amongst some people. You've got a floating robot companion that talks to you all the time. Well, it isn't a robot companion. It's a drone that somebody else, another NPC communicates to you with. And I watched somebody else's stream afterwards, because on mine that bugged out as well. At one point, you get into a base that you've been sent to investigate, and there's a floor panel, and it's partly covered up. And I didn't spot it at first. I'm wandering around. And the robot goes, oh, what about this floor panel? I'm thinking, what floor panel? And the floaty robot thing is stood next to where we first came into the base.
Oh, right.
And I watched somebody else's video. The robot had actually floated over to the floor panel and said, oh, look, this looks like somewhere we can get. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Sometimes it babbles on about stuff and is pointing stuff out that isn't immediately in your or its location. And so you don't know what it's talking about half the time. Sometimes it's gone. It's off down the corridor and it's talking to you, and it's just really, really annoying. And the voice acting isn't great either. The NPCs, when they're talking, just sort of stand there looking forward into space, you know, as you can sort of happily run around. And
they do that. Yeah,
and then I got to a point where I actually got stuck, because it's where you first upgrade your pistol, and it wants you to collect some components. And so then it's a scavenger hunt. And this is the first time you've upgraded anything. So it's like, well, you know, give me a few components what I can put in and show me how to do it. But no, I could not find one of the components. And it frustrated me so much I turned it off. Bizarrely, when I hopped into Mac's stream to watch as he was playing it, he was at the same point having exactly the same problem. One of the things is just too well hidden, really.
Yeah.
And he was getting frustrated, and he was clipping through the wall and dropping through the scenery, at which point it reset all the progress of all the stuff he'd collected, and he was getting frustrated, right? Then there was Ian Higton did it for his Ian's VR Corner on Eurogamer. He got to the same place, yeah, at which point he started getting really frustrated. And I think he got a bit further on, but then this is the first time I've ever seen him do it on a stream. He got to a point, he went, right, that's it, I'm done. Right. And turned it off. I thought, wow, okay. And so it's like other people having exactly the same problems and stressing out over exactly the same stuff. Although bizarrely, on Virtual Strangers, they all loved it. So I don't know what's going on there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a bit more conflicted on this than you are. I've got, because the criticisms are absolutely founded in terms of how frustrating it can be. I mean, there were several times in this game where I was progressing through, and I said, for FFS basically, like numerous times, because the 3D, the part where you were talking about, where you're collecting these components, then you have to put them in a refiner, where you have to collect quite a lot of these components.
Yeah.
Then you have to select them one by one from a menu system, which you have to keep selecting on your wrist to throw them into this refiner. Then it will throw out this bottle from each of these elements that you've done. Then you have to place each of these bottles in a different part of the 3D printer. Then it will 3D print the upgrade to your gun. This is far too long-winded, and it just slows everything down. It's so frustrating. You have to do this several times throughout this game.
Well, this is another thing as well, where rather than selecting it from the menu on your wrist, you're supposed to be able to reach over. I think if you reach over your right shoulder, you're supposed to get food, what you can eat. Where the left shoulder, it's supposed to bring out components, I think, that you've collected, as far as I'm aware. But I don't know what happened with me. Regardless of which shoulder I used, I kept bringing out those flipping fruits.
Right.
So that didn't work for me. So I had to go to the menu to drag everything out one by one.
Well, I did that. So what it'll do, I believe, is when you place stuff in your backpack, it will. So yeah, your right one will do food, and then your left one will do the last things that you placed in there, which isn't always necessarily the component you want. So you still have to go through the menu system sometimes, and so I don't know. It just felt a bit frustrating. Those parts were really frustrating, and I think the clipping through the wall, falling through the world happened to me. I had at least 2 crashes. No, probably at least 3 crashes during this game. And most couple of those were actually later on in the game. But it was me trying to combat all of this frustration with some of the good stuff, which I think the game has. It's got a lot of potential to me. You mentioned world building wasn't great. I feel the opposite. I feel like the actual world that they've created is not that bad. I think I actually quite enjoyed it. It's like a linear sci-fi adventure. Taking that part, I actually really enjoyed it. If I could just get through all of these frustrating moments, which were constantly happening. This is the problem with it. So the other frustrating thing, which is a small thing, and a lot of these things as well are little bugs which they can fix relatively easily from my point of view. So you have this thing which a lot of games incorporate, where if you get too close to a wall, to stop you from clipping through the wall, it will sort of push you back and move the world. This happens bizarrely on occasional things which are waist high. So like a table that's waist high, if you try to go lean over the table, it will push you away from the table. This is frustrating.
What's even worse is there's at one point that you can get like devices on the tables where you can put stuff in to manufacture other things to create food and health and whatever. At one point, I was trying to literally put my hand over the top of it to put an item on, and it pushed me away. And it repeatedly kept doing that. The stupid manufacturing thing for the pistol. Yeah. Was it that? Or it was somewhere where you literally had to press a button. Yeah. I went to reach to press the button, and it pushed me away. And it's like, how did you not sort this out? This is basic interactions which totally just failed.
Well,
I thought that was just me, because I've had that in various games as well, where I've tried to grab something or press a button or open the door, and as I'm moving further forward with my hand, it's getting further away.
Yeah.
So
this does it a lot.
It does.
That's a shame.
It leads me on to what you were just saying there, Roger. It leads me on to say what I was going to finish off with is basically, to me, I think this needed another year of development and, more importantly, playtesting. Playtesting this would have highlighted some of these issues I'm sure they had playtesters, and I'm not trying to, patronise them or anything like that, because I'm sure they've worked hard in getting this far. But to me, it needed more time to get rid of some of these frustrating elements with this game. So playtesting could have resolved the fact that collecting all of these components and making the process of upgrading your guns so long-winded and boring that it could have sort of streamlined some of that stuff. And that's also why I think a lot of this is actually padding. and I don't know how far you got through this game, Rog, but there's several sections where you're waiting for NPCs just to get to their trigger point, and not just a short amount of time either. You're waiting, you're following them, they're walking, and you're following them, waiting for, probably, I don't want to exaggerate, probably maybe 45 seconds you're following them walk from one section to another section just so it triggers the next part of the story. And that to me is just bad. That's bad design and playtesting, and it just means to me that they didn't give it enough time. I think it just needed more time in development.
I'm sure a lot of this stuff must have come up in playtesting, because some of it is just so blatant and so obvious it would have been impossible not to have it come up. Maybe it was a time limit. Maybe they needed or wanted to get it out by a certain time, and they just didn't get it sorted. But saying that demo, how long ago was the demo out?
I mean, I played it. I'm same as you, Gary. I think it must be about a year ago. It's got to be a while ago that I played the demo, and I was quite impressed with the demo. To be honest, I thought it looked, it had good promise, and I was really looking forward to the game. But I'm like you, I've heard a lot of bad things as well, like Roger said about it, unfortunately.
Let me just say, like, that demo, that's exactly what this game is. See, when I played that demo, I was under the impression that was early and they were going to fix some of these slightly frustrating things, and you don't really hit too many of the really frustrating things in that demo anyway. But that first section of the game is exactly what I played in the demo, basically. That's what it is. And just from my point of view, I do want to also highlight, because I don't think I've highlighted some of the good points about it. There are several points in this where, in spite of the frustration, where I don't know how far you've got, Rog. Did you get up to the loft area?
No.
So you step out, you go up this lift, and you step out into this loft area. And I will say, like, graphically, the game excels in the outside areas more than it does on the inside areas. So on the inside areas, it looks like it's corridors, and they look good, but they don't really blow you away. But you step out of this lift in this game into this loft area, which is high up in this tower. You look out over this world, and there's just moments like this, which it's not just even about the graphics, it's about what they've built up to that point to make it feel like there's something here, there's definitely potential with this game that they've just not quite executed on. And that's what's frustrating, because that section of the game is really good. And actually there's a section just after that where it's the main part really of the game that leads up to the finale, but that is outside, and it's combat, and it's really, it's not easy. It's challenging combat. I felt like there were just moments within that section that really made me realise that this is not a lost cause or anything like that. It's not just graphics. There are certain things here which they can definitely build on, and there is potential, but it's battling through that frustration, unfortunately.
How long is the game, Gary?
I finished it. It was about, I think I did it in about 4 hours, I would say. So it's not that long. And again, I feel like there's a lot of padding in that 4 hours. I think they've padded things out with that as well. So the end takeaway in terms of price, I know that the length of the game isn't everything in terms of price, but I said it from almost within like the first hour of playing. I think it's overpriced in its current form, at least. But yeah, Roger, I presume you think the same with the price based on what you said.
Definitely. I mean, the thing is, and we'll point out, we did get a review key for this.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, we should have mentioned.
I don't want to play it when it's not cost me anything. I think, what more can you say after that?
Yeah. I mean,
yes, maybe some of it can be patched in various updates, but like you say, if it sounds like it's a release, but it's really more of an alpha or a beta as it is in its current form now.
It definitely feels unfinished. I mean, it is worth pointing out that there must have been at least, I think, 2 or 3 patches that I've seen download through Steam. I've not gone back to it, so it does look like the developers are actively working on fixing things.
Yeah, and I also want to say, because it's got like in spite of the graphics, it's an incredible looking game, but it's got a very indie feel to the game overall. And I think you mentioned this, Roger, as well when you first played it. I think that I agree that like it's got like an indie feel to a very good looking game.
Yeah.
But these are all things that they can polish, and there's certain parts as well which you just think there must have been a lot of effort that's gone into this particular section of the game.
Yeah.
As well, and you just think it's. I just wish that overall I felt differently about it. And again, I think there's potential. There's definitely potential with it.
It feels like an indie team who haven't got the budget to sort of create the product that it really needs to be. It's the act, like I say, the voice acting and the story is just not great. The way it builds everything up, there's no sort of suspense. You swim about, you climbed out on this planet, you get to this base that you've got to investigate, and it doesn't sort of like suspensefully lead you into the base. You get there, and it's just covered in all these sort of generic, small, face huggerish with balloons on the back type creatures, and it doesn't lead you into build up an encounter. To discovering the sort of like the alien life forms and stuff. There's nothing there. It's just, oh, here they are. By the way, there's a gun over there, and it's like she goes, "There's a gun over there. Get the gun." I'm looking around. I'm thinking, where?
Yeah. It's not easy
because you sort of think you need to get this gun to be able to shoot all these things. The gun is actually located in the middle of all these creatures on a dead body. It's like, just.
You definitely take some damage on that part.
There's just sort of bad design decisions, and it does feel like an indie title that didn't have the budget to create the vision that they had in mind.
I hope we're not being too negative, because as I mentioned, I do want to highlight the fact as well that I do think there's glimpses of really like some of the really immersive sections in this game as well. But
like the first time you come out onto that planet, it's like, oh wow,
yes,
they've definitely got the graphical talent, but I think it's everywhere else, and no music either as well. Where's the sweeping sort of like, even if they bought some music from a generic pack, where's the sweeping orchestral score that kicks in the first time you see that landscape to help build up the feeling of being on this alien world? It's just, there's nothing.
Yeah, it's a good point. I didn't notice that, but that is a good point to bring up, because that would have probably made all the difference in some sections. But it's just it's my takeaway is it's definitely got potential, but it's just a battle of frustration in certain sections, unfortunately. Okay, well, we spent long enough on that, so let's get on to some of the highlights from the Upload VR Winter Showcase. So this is last week this happened, and I think there's been a few sort of mixed opinions on this. Overall, Rog, what did you... Actually, no, Lee, because you watched this just recently, didn't you? What were your overall impressions of the Upload VR Winter Showcase?
I don't know if it's just me or not, but I kind of really look forward to these, and then when they've been shown, I'm like, oh, really? It's just like Meta One, and I did live stream some of that, and I did the Pico one as well. I don't know. I mean, some of the games, we'll get over in a moment, did kind of seem interesting, but they were like really, really short clips. I don't know what you guys thought, but it was like maybe 10, 15 seconds, and then that was it. And I was like, oh, okay. Some of the developers did sit down, didn't they, and talk a little bit, but there's nothing really that... a couple of things what stood out to me, but that was about it. Overall, I've got to say, from my point of view, I did notice a tweet from Onikazi earlier where he was sort of... Because there was a comparison between the Upload VR showcase and the Resolution Games showcase, which we'll get onto after this topic. From my point of view, I wasn't really disappointed. I wasn't blown away, but that's par for the course for the showcases. It's sort of a bed for indie developers to show some updates to their games and show some more stuff. So I honestly can't say I was that disappointed with it, but there was nothing that really blew me away either. There are a couple of highlights that I'll go through in a second, but I think some of the reaction just saying it was like completely disappointing or almost anger
some of the stuff. Like they weren't showing PSVR 2 titles, PSVR 2 AAA games. They've never really done that with these showcases. So it was sort of within the bounds of expectation from my point of view. Rog,
it's great that we can get something that they are, developers are showing parts of the games that are upcoming and we can get excited for.
Yeah.
I don't know what people really want to see, and they're not going to. I guess it's what developers have got at that moment and what they can put out to show what they're working on.
Yeah. What did you think, Rog?
Yeah, I think it probably ended up being exactly what I thought it was going to be, which is sort of a lot of indie stuff. I think people who were, like I say, expecting all the sort of big AAA stuff and the PSVR 2 stuff were expecting way too much. But as for what they showed, really the only thing I was sort of interested in was Vertigo 2, which I'd never played the first one, which they did a remaster of, didn't they?
Yeah.
Bizarrely, I don't know what I thought Vertigo was or must have been, but it's not the game I thought it was, and I don't know what I thought it was. In all honesty, it's one of those games that entirely passed me by. But seeing that Vertigo 2 trailer, it sort of did make me want to check out the original.
Yeah,
that was one of the. Sorry.
Go ahead. You go ahead, Lee. Yeah.
I was going to say that's definitely one of the highlights for me watching it as well. And I was thinking, Vertigo, I'm sure that rings a bell. So then I've Googled it and then I saw the original and I thought, oh yeah, I can remember. I actually refunded that game. But
oh, no, really?
No fault of the game, actually. It was I got really motion sick playing it.
Oh, okay.
Which is right.
It's only there's only ever 2 games, maybe 3. Vertigo got really motion sick. I've just literally after 5 minutes, I kept thinking, wow, this is really weird. But, it is a really good game. I have heard it's a really good game.
Yeah, well...
And also, After the Fall, I get really sick playing After the Fall as well.
Oh, do you? Know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one that makes me green in the gills. Oh, and Half-Life 2 VR, the boat bit. Yeah, I think...
Oh, that gets a lot of people, I think.
But, my God, geez, no.
Yeah.
I don't think I could walk for a day after that, so...
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I think the Vertigo, I don't know if you saw the trailer or any clips of the game, Roger. It starts off, I think it's this one, where it starts off like a house, like on a hill, and it looks really pretty as you're walking up to it, like in the mountains or something like that, and then it just totally changes into something different.
Yeah. I mean, it looks bonkers. it looks absolutely bizarre. I'm sort of really intrigued with it.
Well, the original, see that part where you go up to the mountain on the original game, where you go up to like this hill area with a cabin and stuff. I don't think that was in the original. That came with the remaster. Yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah, from memory, because I played quite a bit the original when it was first released. And the interesting thing, that actually started this guy, I think he was a teenager who just did this little VR experiment when he first got a Vive, where he did this thing in Unity where it was like a big gaping hole and a plank going across this hole. And he called this little experience Vertigo. And then he developed this entire game based off of that. And that's what Vertigo is. And I think his dad is a developer and sort of helped him through this. So this, right, to my knowledge, is a single developer who's probably in his early 20s at this point, that has made this. And, I'm sure he's sort of got some sort of contracts to get some of the assets and stuff like that built. But the original Vertigo game was really impressive based on the fact that it was made by this teenager single developer. Then he did a remaster, which... I played a little bit of that as well. I've not finished the original, and I didn't finish the remaster. But it's a great game. I need to get back into it. It's one of those ones that it does nothing wrong. Got some really
clever puzzles in, right? Yeah, the bits that I played, it got some really clever puzzles. But perhaps I need to try it again on the Pico 4 and see how I get on then.
Yeah. It's just one of those ones where I think I always it did nothing wrong. I just didn't finish it for whatever reason that I need to get back to. So yeah, Vertigo 2 on this trailer looks absolutely fantastic. To be honest, this was definitely one of the highlights.
Yeah.
But some of the other highlights I'll just quickly go through on my list. So I didn't actually realise the ones that I've got are Per Aspera, Call of the Sea, and the Signifier, which I had zero idea were actually PC flat games that are getting VR versions of on the Quest. So these completely passed me by, and it just so happens I don't know what that says about VR, that the ones that actually stuck out to me are the sort of flat game ports, to be honest. But yeah,
well, I didn't know they were flat games either till you just mentioned it.
Yeah,
Nope, same.
Okay, well, that's comforting at least. Maybe I've got that wrong then, if we're all wrong. But I'm sure that I've read somewhere that these were the three of the ones that were shown that were actually flat game ports. But yeah, per Aspyr, it's like a strategy game based on Mars. Not a lot to say about any of these, by the way. These are just the ones that sort of popped out to me as interesting that I will keep an eye on. And then there was Call of the Sea, which just looked like an interesting little, I guess, puzzle game, sort of narrative puzzle game
as well.
Yeah, that looked pretty good. And then finally the Signifier, again, like a narrative puzzle game, looked like to me. But yeah, just some of the highlights. There wasn't too much else, but there was something else that stood out to you, wasn't there, Lee, as well?
Yeah, it's a Propagation, the Paradise Hotel. I thought that looked quite interesting. I'm sure I remember playing Propagation. I think it was free, maybe on Steam. I'm not sure if it was co-op.
The name rings a bell. I can't place it.
They've made a game before, and it was like in like some sort of train station with like things attacking you. And if I remember correctly, that's from a while ago. But the Paradise Hotel one, anything where I'm creeping around with a flashlight that needs batteries and runs out, where they've got things jumping out at me and I've got doors to go through, and it's that just I'd love that. I'd love to give that a go. Is
that single player or multiplayer, that one? Because again, the name rings a bell for me as well.
I'm sure. What, the original Propagation?
Yeah,
I'd have to check on Steam. I'm sure it was like a multiplayer one. You could have co-op as well.
Right. Okay.
It's been a while. I think it's one that I saw quite a while ago and had a quick go at it because it was free. And then I think you had to pay for the co-op version. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong.
Okay. Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on as well. That. Because it's a zombie kind of thing again, isn't it?
Yeah, it reminded me a bit of Resident Evil type, maybe Resident Evil 4, how it looks.
Yeah.
And some of the menu system and thing looked a bit like that as well.
Yeah, okay. So, but there was nothing else really that stood out to me, I think this is part of the reason why it was a little bit disappointing, because there was a lot of... there was some updates to like Pistol Whip that were announced and things like that. Updates to games, which you always get with this Upload VR showcase anyway. And I think some people also had a bit of an issue with the fact that there were so many sponsors and they were basically showing the games of the developers. These events, they're always like that. I don't really have an issue with the sponsorship and stuff. They've got to make money to do this.
As long as they're being clear about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I know a game that has come out this week, which is another flat screen. What's had a free VR update is the Falconeer.
Oh right, yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah,
I think it's got like 60% on sale at the minute as well, so it's like £6 on Steam. I mean, you can get it cheaper on various other, key sites and things like that, maybe. But I've installed it just to have a quick look, and it looked quite impressive.
Nice. I can remember this wasn't. I might be getting mixed up with something else. Wasn't this like a Kickstarter-ish type project originally, the original game?
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember seeing it at the time and thought it looked pretty cool, but I've never played it. But yeah, I'd be interested to see.
I mean, I use the controller because I'm guessing it's a controller or a keyboard-based game. And as you first start off, I'm not going to give anything away in the game, you've got waves crashing and thunder and things like that, and you can feel it vibrating when it does that in the controller. And I thought, that's quite cool.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
It looks interesting. Well, I've actually picked it up. I've not had a chance to try it yet, but yeah, because it's on sale on Steam at the minute.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it seems like a...
I mean, and it's another game that I'd never heard of. It's only because I saw Flat2 VR's post on Twitter. Oh, they've got a free update for this game, and it's 60% off. Oh, I've got to look, and it looked quite interesting. So anything where I can get a bargain and play in VR as well, I'll do that.
Yeah. Okay, well, we've got the Resolution Game Showcase as well, which only happened yesterday as we record this podcast. So we can get into some of the stuff that went on with that. This was a great showcase as well. Resolution Games have done some absolutely fantastic games. Demeo, I now know definitively how to pronounce it because Tommy from Resolution Games pronounced it Demeo, so that's how I'm going to do it from now on.
I could never remember.
No,
that's funny because that's what I thought as soon as I saw it. Oh, that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I'll have to remember that from now on.
So yeah, Demeo's got a new map. It's called I can't remember what this update's called.
Ends, it's Town of Ends or something.
Yeah. So yeah.
But the trailer said, though, it did actually say it's the final chapter. So whether it's a final chapter in this sort of arc of, DLC that we've released, or if it's the last one they're actually doing, I don't know. It's a shame if it is.
Yeah, they've done a lot of DLC though, haven't they? For this, there's been quite a few updates. I think. Is this like the fourth one? Is this?
This is the fifth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But in all honesty, that sort of makes it more of the complete game that it should have maybe been in an ideal world. But, but you can't complain as they've been releasing these things for free.
Yeah, I mean, how much is it? Just the base game? Because is it £15 or something like that? I'm just trying to remember, but I seem to remember it being about
£20, maybe something. I can't remember.
Quick look. Yeah, you're right. It's £24 over here. So yeah. So I guess you're right. It's the DLC does add a lot to it, but I've played a little bit of this, not too much, but I've been in there with you, Rog, as well, and we've had a great time. You can spend like doing just one level in this, or like one run, I should say. You can spend many hours, can't you? It can take up like sort of 3 hours.
Yeah, it can be massively random. Sometimes you'll just get a good run where everything just flows and it just works. Then other times it feels like you have to fight for every inch of progress that you make through that map. But well worth the price. It's on sale. It's on sale at the minute as we're recording this.
As well, when you're close, you can see right. I can see where the key is now. I can see where the door is. About another 5 more turns, lads, and then we're through. And then all of a sudden, 500 more, 1,000 more things come out, and you think,
I know.
Another hour now before I can even do it.
It always feels that it tips itself, I must admit, slightly too much in favour of the monsters.
Yeah,
it's like at times it can just feel overwhelming, and it's just. I've
played levels same as you, where I've been dead within 5 squares.
Yeah,
and all my lives have been used, and then I've played levels where it's not even touched me.
Yeah,
so it's very random. Yeah.
It is crazy. I think it definitely could do with some balancing and maybe even sort of splitting things out into difficulty levels, because the first time you play it, it's tough. It is very hard, and it rewards you if you play it and learn and evolve and develop strategies. And there are some good ones.
Yeah,
I wasn't a big fan either when it first came out. I played it for a little bit and thought, I don't really like this. And it's only just recently that I've been playing a bit online that I've really got back into it, thinking, I really love this. It's one of my favourite games to play.
It's one of those games where even if you don't like board games, even if you hate board games, in VR with a good group of people, it's a transformative experience. It's something else. It's so much better.
Yeah.
Have you tried the AR update as well?
I think
one.
Yeah, I'm sure I did switch. I think I switched it into that. I'm on a Quest 2 anyway, so it's like there.
Yeah, I'm saying. I just thought it looked. It was. I could see how it could possibly look. On a Quest Pro, how good it could be to actually have your own table, and then have that on there.
I thought there was a bit of a disconnect, because if you're in an overly bright room, and then you've got like this virtual sort of dungeon sort of in front of you, because it's lit how it wants to get, the game wants to be lit, where you've got dark and shadowed areas. There's I'm looking at it as a colour board game overlaid on a very fuzzy black and white image, but the difference in lighting just seemed weird.
I'm surprised they even bothered doing that with the Quest 2, if I'm honest, because the pass-through's not.
It's not great. No,
it's not designed for anything like that, is it? Do you know what I mean?
No, but again, it's still a useful function for some people. If you've got pets, or I suppose if you've got like a kiddie asleep or something, you want to keep an eye on them or whatever. It's a functional thing, but for most people, I think it's a bit pointless at the minute.
This new map as well that they've got, it's like a village, isn't it? That they're doing this time. I wondered, because when they shown
Barbarian, it's Barbarian, right?
The new character, yeah,
Barbarian?
something, yeah.
Yeah, but the village, because it's outside, I was looking at the gameplay of it. I wondered if it would be better if they had some kind of scenery outside, because it's still just black. The surrounding of it is just black. But if they had some kind of scenery in like a blue sky or something like that, but it's not going for that aesthetic, is it? The whole game, it's got to be these sort of dark dungeon kind of aesthetic, I suppose. But,
well, I mean, the scenery normally is that basement. That is there.
Yes,
but if you tilt the table, then it gets rid of that altogether, and you've just got a black background.
Yeah. I don't know. I just sort of crave some of these games having like more brighter outside scenes sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely one of the best games. I mean, I absolutely love it for what it is, and multiplayer. It's sort of a must, isn't it, for multiplayer? Getting the right group of people together.
One of the best multiplayer games you can play, because you're all helping each other, especially if you've got someone like me who's a total noob, and I'm like, I don't know this card does, or does this mean what's happening?
Yeah.
And then everybody doing like, well, don't go on that square, just go on that one, and then do this and jump at him from the back, and you do learn a lot like that. And I think I've completed one of the maps, I think the very first one, because I just happened to pick up an I picked up a card where I couldn't die.
Yeah.
And so it just like kept trying to hit me. This boss was trying to hit me all the time. I was like sat there chilling out, and then 4 or 5 moves, we killed it. So it was like pretty easy, that bit was.
Yeah, that's the only criticism I've got. I think some of the end bosses, it really does want you to do it in a certain way, and it sort of curtails sort of inventiveness, shall we say. It really does want you to go it from a certain angle. That's my only sort of criticism.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it took us like 3 hours to get to the Rat King. We didn't even see the Rat King because we were dead before it even appeared on screen.
Yeah. Okay, so Demeo had that update. Definitely check that out if you've got that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, great game, definitely worth buying.
Absolutely.
Pretty much a must buy, really.
Yes, I agree with that. Blast On is also going free to play for anybody that is interested in this. Definitely, it's free now, so give it a try. This is one of the games that I was referring to earlier when I was talking about Compound, and it's this dueling game, but you play with, in room scale to dodge out the way these bullets and stuff. It's just got that. It's got a slightly addictive. My son actually plays this more than I do, and he's built up my level to a point where I really can't compete with anyone anymore. So I'm screwed. But I do. When I've been in there, I absolutely love this. This is one of those ones where I've seen and I thought, there's no way I'm going to get into that. But once you start playing, it's pretty addictive, and I think it's a great game, honestly.
I've never actually. Do you know what put me off with Blast On is when I don't know if it is like that, where you see videos of it, it looks like you've literally stood like a metre or two away from your opponent. And it always reminds me of that scene from Police Squad. If you remember, when Leslie Nielsen is like, he's hunkered down behind the dustbin and he's shooting and whatever, and you see somebody else shooting back, and then it zooms out and they're literally like a metre away from each other and throwing stuff at each other. It just reminds me of that.
Yeah, it's you're not that far away. Yeah, you are quite close, but that's the reason. Like some of the bullets, they move like ridiculously slow, some of them, but they're really large and stuff. And that's what they've done. They've balanced it to a point where you can play that distance apart. And there's something about it. And I did see somebody mention about how the lobby chat, I think this might have been on Reddit, somebody mentioned it, saying how the lobby chat is toxic and all of this stuff. I've honestly got to say, I've never experienced it, but I think, to me, I'm pretty sure I just disabled voice chat. You don't need to speak to the person anyway. You can completely disable voice chat. And I assume that's the case because I don't remember hearing anybody when I've been playing this. I've disabled my mic and just gone into a match, and that's it, really. So don't be put off too much by that, but give it a try. It's free now, so if that's a problem, then I apologise, but you've not lost anything anyway.
There is a campaign mode, though, right? Where you could just play against the bots.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can play single player.
I'm sure because I played the Wiki Wild West one with PD, as I mentioned earlier, when I was cheating, and then I played that against the bots. But to be honest, I couldn't even defeat the first one.
Oh, okay.
Right. Hashtag pro gamer. So yeah, I never played any more after that. I thought, wow, this is so hard. How do people even get past this?
Yeah, the bots. It's like it's single player, but it's sort of single player light. You are just going through this pretty, basic single player campaign, I suppose, really. But yeah, it's got single player as well. If you want to do it that way, I think most of this with games like this in particular, it's the multiplayer that shines.
Oh yeah, the multiplayer was really fun when I played it. Like I say, when I played it with PD, it was really good, and I could see how people can have a great laugh playing it.
Yeah, and also they've got all of these add-ons, the weapons now as well, which will mix things up a lot more, because you had sort of a set lineup of weapons. Now you've got all of these attachments that you can do to randomize the weapons a little bit more. So that'll be interesting to see as well. Okay, Blast On, and then we've got Bait, which is like a fishing game. I have no idea of at all, but
I finished this on the Oculus Go.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I played this on the Oculus Go as well. If it's that one, because it was free, right?
Yes, it was free, and then there was like a £2 bit of DLC you could get if you wanted to support them. So, but it was a fun, very arcade-ish sort of fishing game. Bizarrely, I've got a picture of my dad playing this, sat outside his house with an Oculus Go on his head, sat on his doorstep. And I literally didn't have anything to film him with at the time. It was really funny because not many people, but there were one or two people, walked past with a very strange look on the face, looking at me dad sat there virtually fishing.
Was it as strange as the people at the Retro Computer Museum watching Mac in VR go wandering around with his speaker on?
Yeah.
That was quite amusing.
Yeah, that was good. So basically Bait has got like a multiplayer update now, that was announced at the Resolution Game Showcase.
It did look quite cool, right? If it's the one I'm thinking of, where it's like an outside area as well, we can sit and chat, and it looked really good.
Yeah.
It's going in competition with that other fishing game though, which I've got. What's it called? What's the big one that everyone plays?
Real VR Fishing?
Yes.
Real VR Fishing, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's got multiplayer. So I suppose this is like a different kind of game, though, isn't it? Really,
it is. It's a lot more arcade-ish, definitely. But it's good. I enjoyed it for what it was at the time.
Yeah. So
I played that. I played that quite a lot. I think. Yeah. I mean, I only had a few games on the Oculus Go. I used it more to watch things like Netflix on, if I'm honest. But I think I had that, and I might have had. What's the one where you like air glide? You've got a suit on and you're gliding along.
Rush.
I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, Rush. I think that was on the Oculus Go, right?
Yeah.
I played quite a lot of that.
As a recording this as well, I think it's Fanatical have got the PC Steam version of Rush for like £1 something. So
well, that's a no-brainer then, isn't it?
Go grab that.
I like the Oculus Go at the time, to be honest, but that wouldn't come back again.
I hope not.
Okay. The other thing that they announced is Spatial Ops. So this has now got an open beta. It's available on SideQuest. So you can give this a try. This is one where it uses the pass-through and it uses your real play space, basically, and just overlays objects in there. And it's like a multiplayer first-person shooter where you go around these sort of digital objects in your real play space multiplayer. I mean, it looks pretty interesting. I probably won't ever be playing it though. I don't know.
Oh, like Space Pirate Arena. Yeah. It's like I desperately want to. I need to convince. We need to convince a group of people at some point. Find a location what's central to us where we can rent out like a hall or something, and then have like an evening of Space Pirate Arena.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the thing. That's another thing I would love to try. The thing is, with Space Pirate Arena, if you map out like a large area yourself, could you play? Is it got like a single player mode at all in that, or is it?
Not that I know. I think it's purely
multiplayer. Right? Didn't a lot of them play at EGX? When they went down, I think a lot of them played it, didn't they?
That's right. Yeah. I didn't know if it had a single player sort of bot mode or something like that as well.
No.
Well, I did notice while they were showing you the clips of this, there were people playing it with Quest 2s on, but whenever they showed you the headset footage, it was always colour pass through.
Yeah.
So I thought that's a little sneaky.
I noticed that as well. Yeah. It's a little bit, but what it is. I mean, the thing is, the pass through, like you've mentioned, Lee, on the Quest 2, it's just not that great anyway. So it's not going to look like the footage,
especially if there's a bright light. I mean, where I am in my living room, it's if I've got the windows open and I put pass through on, it just blows the highlights, 50 times more out than what it would normally. So
Yeah.
it's kind of weird to try and, I don't know how I'd use that to play something like that. You would need definitely a Quest Pro, and even then it looked suspiciously too good.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether
Yeah,
that's just
yeah,
me being paranoid, do you know what I mean? But
No, I think you're right. I think the footage they've shown is, but it's like a glimpse of the future, I suppose. Like this is probably going to be a Laser Quest kind of thing in the future. They won't have all of these.
Oh man, I used to play Laser Quest.
Oh,
do you used to play Laser Quest?
Yeah,
I used to play for a local team.
Oh my god,
my gamer tag was Flash.
Got a real pro gamer.
Yeah, my gamer tag was Flash.
Oh no.
I used to love that. It's been brilliant, didn't it? When you used to have all the smoke and the music going off and the lights flashing. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Did they still do things like that?
Yeah, my son went with Scouts last week. He went to a local Laser Quest with Scouts. Yeah, they still do it.
Oh man, I'd love to do that. We'll have to all meet up and play that as well.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. But yeah, I mean, we used to literally have like go around to other arenas, get a small minibus and go around to other arenas and play different teams.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I bet you're going about 30 years back now, right?
Yep.
But it's about 30 years, something like that.
Yep.
Maybe I would have been 15, 16, maybe.
Yep. It will be. It'll be that
Because
far
where
back.
it used to be in my local town, it's a hairdresser.
Well, thanks for that depressing thought.
Oh, well.
I'd say.
It's all right.
All right. That's the thing, when you get older, you don't really get older.
No, exactly.
No.
You never. I'm 42 now. I don't feel 42.
No, it's no. Mentally, you're still a kid, definitely. Well, I am anyway.
Well, we're playing VR games, playing all sorts. I mean, the thing is, like the way gaming is, it's because it's relatively recent. We're like the generation that are growing up with gaming, and people like the older generation will say, "What are you still playing games for?" And you think, well, honestly, if you were born when I was born, you'd still be playing games as well, because we're the generation that has grown up with it, and it's just like an ongoing thing. It's going to. My son's going to be playing games when he's 60 as well, so. But anyway, there is one other thing that we need to talk about on the Resolution Game Showcase, and that is the new game, which is Racket Club. A tennis game, looks like. Don't know too much about it. I will say, because there's a tennis game on the Quest 2, isn't there, at the minute? Like, I can't remember the name, but there's a tennis game you can pick up. I think it's on the official store. And it's on a court. And the problem is with, of course, tennis games is nobody's got like a court-sized area in their house or anything, or in the garden necessarily to play this kind of stuff. So they tend to, I assume that the game that's on the Quest 2 that I'm talking about actually teleports you around to where the ball is going to be, and then you hit it back. With this one, it looks like, to me, from the trailer, it looks like the court itself is smaller. They've sort of shrunk everything down a little bit. What did you guys think?
That was my immediate thought as well. So it does look like they've scaled things down, but it's probably still going to need a good few square meters at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious about the server on it. Is like, if it's an overhead serve, I mean, where I am, I play in my living room, and I've already broke the ceiling light fitting once while I was shooting barnacles in Half-Life Alyx.
Oh,
yeah.
That's the part of it off.
Yep.
That's kind of worries me a little bit of what am I going to destroy while I'm trying to, do this massive serve.
I think it was Asgard's Wrath for me. I think I got a bit too carried away with an overhand sword swing at one point, and took out the light and the lampshade as well.
Yeah, you forget, don't you? I mean, because I turn Guardian off because of recording and for doing content. I punched the door as well before. I've been trying to. Because you don't realise I've walked across near the door, and then done all that before.
Best one I ever had. I think it was Rec Room when the quests first came out, and I played quite a bit with. This is going back years now, but I used to play quite regularly with Wormslayer. The
dev of
our Oculus mod, and who did And there was at one point, and we were playing, and there was suddenly this, and he went, "Oh, there's my light bulb gone," and he carried on playing.
Yeah, so I mean, what do you think of this game though, Lee? Like overall, do you think it'd be something you pick up?
I'd like to give it a go, but I mean, I'm not sure. Like you say, I'm not sure how they're going to work this scaling out or the room size and things like that. But I think tennis could work really well in VR. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's not called 11 tennis, is it? I mean, 11. No, that's the
table tennis. That one is.
That's the table tennis one, isn't it?
Yeah. There's I need to. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there's another one, isn't there, on PC VR, and it's on Quest 2 as well.
Yeah, there is. Let me have a look. What do but like, are you interested? Because if you got 11 table tennis, like, you interested in like those kinds of sort of racket sport games in VR?
I think they portray and come across really well. I know this is going off from like tennis games a little bit, but I played beer pong in VR, and that was quite good as well. So I quite like how it is, you know what I mean? I like the idea of it, because I'm never going to, I'm never going to be a professional tennis player. I'm never going to play tennis. So to even give that chance, and I don't know what sort of courts they're going to have in it. I don't know if is it licensed? I can't remember if it was licensed or not. I don't know.
I don't know.
Not sure.
I don't think I saw anything about it being licensed, but that'd be quite cool to, step out at Wimbledon and things like that.
There's something about like the racket games, because these are some of the seem to be like some of the obvious ones that people hit on at the beginning of VR as well. Like Hollow Ball, that was a big one that got a lot of love back in 2016, I think, when it was released. Then you got Racket NX as well, which they just feel good to play. The one that I was thinking of is called First Person Tennis.
That's it.
Yeah, so I've not picked that up, I've not played it, but that's one which I assume it sort of teleports you around to be roughly where the ball is going to land each time. But Rog, what about you? What do you think of Racket Club?
Well, it's a tennis game.
Yeah.
What can you say? I'm neither for or against them, really. I mean, if you're looking for a tennis game, it looks like it might be all right. I really don't know what to say.
No. Yeah, we'll see what it's like anyway, because I'm interested. The way they've done it seems interesting. I just don't know if... Because with these types of games, it's a bit like Forever Pool and stuff like that. I'm a bit turned off by the fact you can't hold it like a proper pool cue. And if they've shrunk the tennis courts down on this... It just sort of, it might be a fun game in the context of what it's trying to do. It's just not.
I mean,
tennis.
it seemed quite small on the trailer, right? It looked, maybe it looked a quarter of the size of what a normal.
Yeah. Which you can understand. You can understand if you're trying to make it room scale.
Yeah.
And it looked like they had two players in the same room and stuff as well, working on some of the stuff that they did with Spatial Ops, I guess.
But resolution games, decent developers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope for something good.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we've got two more little topics we'll get to. We need to probably get through these quick. This has been a long show. This is a long one. It's a Christmas.
That's me. I just go off. You know what I mean? And I thought you should mute me and tell me to shut up, and then we'll get on.
It got to past, and I thought, we've been going an hour, and then I realised, oh no.
I just noticed, just on Discord, like 2 hours. 2 hours ago, really?
Well, there's a lot to talk about, so that's okay.
Well, that's it. It's been a busy couple of weeks.
Exactly.
I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Plus, it's the Christmas special, so...
Yeah, this is the Christmas... It is now. This is the Christmas special. So, enjoy this, everyone. This is... so the next little topic, anyway, we won't stay on this one too long. Moss 2 won the Game of the Year, the VR Game of the Year, the Game Awards this year. And it was among some good games after the fall. Among Us VR, Bone Lab, and Red Matter 2, but Moss Book 2 won.
Bone Lab? I thought you said good games.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Bone Lab's not. Oh, dear. What do you... quickly, Lee, what did you think of Bone Lab? Did you play it?
I've still only played as much as what I played when I went round to PD's to do a video for him. He wanted me to go around and do a video because obviously he couldn't see at the time. So I said, sure, I'll come round. And after originally getting over the fact I was like trying to explain all these weird lines coming towards me and trying to tell him because he can't see, so I was trying to exaggerate what there's really weird lines coming towards me, and I was facing the wrong way, and once I spun around I could see the options menu and things like that, so I was on that for like 2 minutes before I even realised. But I quite enjoyed what I played. I mean, I've never played what's the other one called? Boneworks. Yeah, I've never played Boneworks. I've played Bone Lab up to the point where I'd say it's sort of a tutorial, isn't it, before you get to the main arena where you can pick which area to go in.
Yeah.
And I've played all the way up to that, and then I've played one bit where I was going to try and do a video where I was like Indiana Jones, and it was like jumping across. I don't know which part it is, Roger. I mean, you might know which bit it is. So you got like big hammers swinging down, and
right, yeah, it's one of the doors you go through into it when you get to the hub.
And I couldn't jump over. I couldn't even get over the first part, so I thought I can't do a video on this.
I did exactly the same.
That's as far as I got. So I've not gone back to it since, but it is something that I can see me jumping back in again just to have a go and see what the other areas are like. 'Cause I do like the sandbox thing, and I do like the physics of it.
Yeah. Do you do like the physics? That's the Roger.
Yeah, I quite like the physics of it. What bit things felt like they sort of had a bit more weight when I was trying to swing them around. They were slower in moving and things like that. I kind of liked what bit I played, but I don't know. I've not played the original one, but a lot of people like that.
It's such a Marmite game.
Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah, the bit that gets me it's the inverse kinematics. I don't like the body just catching on all of these different things. I've said this to death. We don't need to talk about that again. But
that is weird. The arm movements and things are a little off-putting.
Yeah. But anyway, this is about Moss Book 2, which is an absolutely fantastic game, well worth the win at the Game Awards. But yeah, did anybody? Well, Rog, you and I, we sort of guessed which one it would be. I think you guessed Moss Book 2, didn't you? And I guessed Red Matter 2. Or maybe I just preferred Red Matter 2 out of the two. But you're absolutely right. I think Moss Book 2 is the better game of the two overall. Red Matter 2 just had that sci-fi stuff which I can't get rid of really. So, but yeah, it's go on.
I did put this down on it because it was a small discussion that ended up getting into on Discord. Despite the fact that Moss 2 absolutely deserves the win, it's a great game. It's probably my favourite VR game of the year.
I know what you're going to say.
But,
go on.
Yeah, isn't it a bit of a sad indication of the state of VR that a third-person game that really doesn't make use or full use of what VR has got to offer actually won? It just feels, despite it being a great game, it sort of feels wrong.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a bit of a uncomfortable thing to admit, isn't it? Because it's designed for VR. It's a VR game, but it's.
But why hasn't a game that puts you, first person into a world where you can manipulate and use things naturally? Where's that game? Why hasn't?
Yeah, I mean, you could argue in Moss, you are an entity, aren't you? You're not necessarily. The thing is with Moss, I know, I'm sort of being pedantic there by mentioning that because you're controlling Moss like a gamepad, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah, primarily it's a third-person game.
Yeah,
it's a diorama. You're looking at a diorama.
Yeah,
and it's just I would say amazing game, deserves the win. My favourite VR game of the year, but it just feels wrong that something more natural, more VR native. Yeah, it's wrong. It almost feels wrong to say it, but I don't know. It just feels it's
an indication. I know what you say. Is it an indication?
Is it an indication of the state that VR's in, that we haven't got something? Yeah. Something else that's one.
I mean, you'll be surprised to learn that I've actually not played it.
You've got to play this.
No, that's the thing. I've only ever played on my channel. I've played Moss. Okay, people keep saying you've got to play Moss. You've got to play Moss. So I've got it. I've only ever played up to where I've recorded, but it's one of the only games where it's ever given me a wow moment, and I got quite emotional playing it. And I don't think I like that in the game. I got quite emotional when I think you first go into down into the village, and there's like a bloke fishing, and there's people walking around carrying things, creatures walking around carrying things, and it looked amazing. I know you're saying, I understand what Roger's saying about, it's not really like 6 off, is it? Because you're sort of from a distance watching it, but everything in it's 3D, and the little houses at the back in 3D, it just totally blew me away when I saw that.
Yeah, it's like when I was playing through Moss 2, that again, it did give me those moments of, oh wow, this is amazing, this is really good. But it's just, Yeah, it's like a third-person game gets Game of the Year. It's like,
Yeah. When I said earlier, I know what you were going to say, Roger. I was actually thinking of something different because Among Us VR is on here, and I tell you what, that's a great game. I completely underestimated how good that game is, and just in there with the right people, it's just so much fun. I've only been in there twice now, but yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic.
Because we jumped in the other weekend, didn't we?
Yes,
we were playing, and I was in there for it was like 3.5 hours by the end when I came out of that.
Really?
That's the longest I've spent in VR in a long time.
Thank God for that Bobo VR battery head strap.
You do get lost in it, don't you? I mean, I think I've shown you the video of me being the best imposter ever. Which I really sucked at, because I didn't really know how to play it.
Yeah, I know, that's how I feel.
I think with so many people and you're all trying to argue. I mean, I'm not very good at lying, so I don't do so well when I am the imposter. But it's brilliant fun, and for the price, it's like $7.99 in British pounds, or $6.99.
And I think they've announced some updates as well that are coming. Oh, roadmap, haven't they? They've announced.
Yeah, I think they're bringing out hide and seek, so you can play that. Is that right? And
hide and seek mode. Yeah.
I think people's been playing that as well, and the devs have caught on to it and decided to put it into the game. I could be wrong with that, but I think kids have been playing hide and seek in it anyway.
Yeah. The other one, just quickly to mention, Red Matter 2. We've already mentioned it, but yeah, that will be another one on this list. I'd highly recommend.
Yeah, definitely a great game, and more of a native, natural VR game, shall we say?
I think it's that embodiment in VR where you are. It's
that's the word.
That makes the.
It's got like a very 80s style sci-fi to it.
Yes,
how things look.
The music as well. The music.
The music's really, really clever.
This is what I was saying again with what's lacking from Hubris. It's like with Red Matter, it sets everything up nicely, and even like there's a part near the beginning where you land in one of the shuttles and you get out and you're walking towards this big imposing sort of doorway structure on this asteroid, and the music is just there, and it's not a lot, but it really hints at the original Alien score, and it's like, and again, it's just one of those things. It's layer upon layer, and that Hubris just doesn't have.
I mean, I bought this on the Pico 4 the day release just to see, because I know it's supposed to have some more enhancements over it than the Quest 2. And I mean, I've not tried the Quest 2 version, but it just ran absolutely flawless. And I know you were on about like the kinetic, the hands and movement, and like that in Bone Lab, and how bad it is. In Red Matter 2, I noticed when I just put my hands out right in front of me, they were exactly right in front of me on the game as well, and I could move hands left and right, and they got that really perfect.
And they've got the controller models as well, sort of within there. They've sort of they're using the controllers to do a part of the game mechanic. So the things that you're holding make sense as well. I really love that. It's like
I did get confused at some points, because I'm like, I think when you first put your suit on and then you're using the claws to open the doors, I'm like, well, why not just use my hand to open the door? It's a bit weird. I've got to use these claws to do it.
It's a very sort of gamified thing, isn't it?
Yes,
you know.
But I mean, it is really good, because when you're looking down and you're moving your thumbs, because it's tactile, isn't it, as well? So you can see your thumbs moving over the buttons, over the thumbsticks, and that. Yeah, I'm really impressed with that. I need to play some more. I think you commented on my video, right, Rog, about I needed to continue on with it. So.
You really should. It is really good, and I know we've said it before. The combat in it isn't great, shall we say?
Yeah,
but it's not a game about combat. You know, there's just one of the puzzles at the end when I finally sorted it. I went, oh no way! And maybe I'm bigging that up too much, but it was just the solution was just something I wasn't expecting, and it surprised me.
Well, it took me 30 minutes just to do the first one, so that should be a good one.
I tell you what, though, there's a couple of frustrating puzzles. It's not like Hubris. It's like generally there's not a lot of frustration in Red Matter 2, but there's a couple of frustrating puzzles, and we've mentioned them on this. And I tell you, I think I've just not got the brain to work those things out easily. It was almost random when I got it right in the end. These things where you pull in the levers to get things lined up correctly. It just
I struggle on the same one. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I died straight away, Because
I'm
I'm so
watching
new.
them.
Yeah, do you know, because you're supposed to like drop down onto the level below, aren't you? And then
Yeah.
go on the very first bit to try and open the doors to get in the
You
very
always
beginning of
shot
the
it.
game.
Yeah.
I just jetpacked straight over the edge. And then I
Why
was
not?
just like trying to cling onto the railing, trying to claw myself back up. So that was my first impression of it, just noobing and dying at that bit straight away.
Right, well, one more thing to mention for this long Christmas special, and this is so PSVR 2. We know that you need, historically you needed an invite to even pre-order one. Now they've opened it up, and there's a few other things. Rog, do you want to just go through some of these things as well? I've not read this part, sorry.
So as far as I'm aware, you can just pre-order a PSVR 2 now. I think that should be pretty much anywhere. It did seem to roll out in stages, but I think it's opened everywhere now. So if you want one, there's no issue there. One of the good things, what's been confirmed, is the Resident Evil Village VR version has been confirmed as a launch day free upgrade. So no extra cost. If you already own it, brilliant. If you don't, well, Christmas sales are going to be coming up soon, so pick it up there, and you've got should be a quality VR game on launch day. The second one was a really bizarre one, which came out of nowhere, and I played this at launch on PS2, and that's Fantavision, which was basically a match the colours of the fireworks simulator. It was a bit of a bizarre game. And for some reason, it's now been resurrected as Fantavision 2020X for PSVR 2 at launch, which is really strange. I don't think anyone saw that coming at all. I don't know why they've chosen it. Goodness knows. But that'll be there at launch as well. So a bit of nostalgia for some people, I think. I don't think it'll be a must-play title, but, if you want to sort of relive your PS2 launch era days, then that'll be there.
That's interesting. Yeah, so I've got the video of Fantavision. I'd never even heard of it. I didn't know about that. Okay, so PSVR 2 pre-orders. I did get an email saying that I can now pre-order it. I've still not. I've still held off, and I'll see. Once there's more titles announced, maybe I'll jump in, I think.
Yeah. Oh, just the one other thing which we noticed before the show as well, T3.com. They have shown what appears to be, or renders of at least, a possible PS5 Slim watch, which may be out next year. They're saying it may be in line with the sort of PSVR 2 launch. It's all sort of speculation at the moment. Cut down in size, and with what appears to be an optical drive, a Blu-ray drive that's actually an add-on. So it looks like you may be able to sort of like buy like the digital only version, and then maybe buy a drive if you need one to sort of clip on later. But all speculation. But
I mean, I really like the sound of that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's going to keep the cost down for people that, I know the size as well, but to have that optical drive where you can just take it out, put it away, take it out, put it away, if you're not using it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's actually it seems to be a panel on the normal version what you can take off, and then the drive goes on, and it really doesn't seem to add much in the way of bulk to it at all. Right. So it's not something you'd need to put away. It just makes it slightly more bulbous on one end.
It's sort of a bonus as well if you pick up this standard slim version where you've not got a drive, and then you decide later on, I want to get a drive, because that's the thing. If you getting a PS5 standard, you've got to make that decision, haven't you, and stick to it, I suppose. But yeah. Well, so it adds on to the original PS5 as well, does it?
Not onto the original one, no. Just the digital one.
Okay.
Sorry, just the slim one. Assuming this is all correct, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think it'll make a purchasing decision a bit harder for people who've not bought the PS5 yet, who are looking to get a PSVR 2, because it's like, do you get hold of a PS5 now, or do you wait potentially?
Well, I think
a slim version,
because there's been rumours of this set up with a separate drive for a while, and if this is more information saying it's going to be released around the same time as the PSVR 2, I'm tempted to wait either way.
T3 are saying it's like a reputable or reliable internal source or something. So
Yeah. Okay.
Who knows?
Right.
I mean, PlayStation 5 is humongous as well, so if they can scale that down a bit. I don't know if they've had any heating. Have you had any problems with heating issues, Rog, on yours?
No, it's been perfectly fine. It's been flawless, and it's quiet. I mean, compared to my PS4 Pro, sounded like a rocket ship. Honestly, it's so loud. Once you run anything demanding on that, and it was ridiculously loud, louder than my PC, louder than anything. My PS5 has been sort of silent in comparison. You barely hear it.
My PS4 is the same. If you put Last of Us on it sounds like the hovercraft coming through the house.
Yeah, it was same with me with God of War, original God of War on mine. It was just ridiculously loud, but the 5 is just it's been silent really.
I did I did this thing. I watched a YouTube video where you can take certain parts, because you can take the top off a PS4 and sort of blow dust out and stuff, and then you can do a little.
Fans, right? They get that clogged up. That's why it's overworking.
Yeah, you can do a little bit more and clean it out. You can follow these guides on YouTube to clean it out a little bit more. And I don't know if it helped or not. Honestly, I've got a PS4 Pro and I don't know. It sounded loud, and it still sounded loud when I did all that. Maybe I did it wrong though. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, one of the things you could do, what people sort of recommended, was actually replacing the thermal paste.
Yeah.
And I did disassemble mine slightly at one point, and then I sort of looked at it and thought, no.
yeah, I know. That's don't want to risk it.
No.
I mean, I don't really play console so much now. I mean, I used to on the old Xbox 360 days and things like that, but now I've got PCs and I'm into all that. I don't really go on them so much, but what I will give Sony the dues for, when I had an original PlayStation 3 when they came out, or how many years ago was that now? 15, 16 years ago. I think they were like £800, weren't they? £850, and that's a lot of money when they first came out. But what was kind of cool was, because I was like in one of the first 1,000 that bought the PS3, they sent me a Blu-ray. I think they'd only just come out as well. Copy of Casino Royale. The very same one I'd only just bought because it had just come out on Blu-ray. So I've got 2 copies of that. But I did have my drive go down. I think over about 4 years this was. I had a drive go down after a year. So I basically emailed them and said, look, how can, is there any way I can get this replaced, or how much is it going to cost me? And they said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll just send you a brand new one. Yeah. So they did that to me. And they did that to me twice. Sent me a brand new one boxed out and took my old one back, what had broken. Yeah. So I'm out of warranty. I'll give them that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I've only had one PlayStation replaced, and that was directly with Sony, and it wasn't an issue. And it had got a copy. I can't remember which one it was. One of the Gran Turismos was stuck in the drive, and so I sent it back. And a couple of days later, I got my game. They sent me my game back, and then a couple of days after that, I got a new console. So
yeah, they've been brilliant with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right, well, we've been going on for... This is the longest show. This is the longest recentered we've ever done. So, but it's Christmas special, so it makes sense that that's the case. But anyway, thanks, Lee, for joining us this episode. And I'll put links, of course. I'll put links to your YouTube channel, Dazed Netic, in the description to this video. And definitely go over there, check that out for some good videos.
Gameplay.
He's absolutely awesome, and I mean, you do some funny stuff on there. I've been watching it for a couple of weeks now in the run up to this, and you do some funny stuff.
Yeah, I like to do something a bit different now and again.
Yeah, and actually, there was one thumbnail I noticed where you sort of is it your face on sort of Jack Sparrow?
Yeah, I've done that. If you look at my Lone Echo one, it's my face on Liv.
Okay, yeah.
I used to do, because I'm like big into photography as well, so I'll keep this super quick because I know we've been on.
No, that's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I used to do a lot of, I'll have to send them across to you, Alien Isolation. I've done a couple of those where it's my face over the one with the flamethrower and me in the helmet with the alien coming around me looking all worried. I'll send them you across, see what you think. But I used to like playing quite a lot with Photoshop. Well, I've done that. My face on John Wick. On my Half-Life Alex Gunman, it's my face on him as well.
Well, the
But
reason
I do kinda like him. So.
the reason I mentioned Jack Sparrow is that one just stood out to me. I thought you were quite fetching. I had to check myself there for a second.
I think it makes me look a lot better than what I actually do. You know what I mean? If I'm putting my face onto Johnny Depp, I tend to keep more Johnny Depp on than me. So,
All right.
yeah, definitely that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So definitely go over here. Check out Dazed Netic, the YouTube channel. There's some great stuff over there. This has been Recentered. Rog, any final things before we end this episode, because we won't be back until early January?
No, just a big thank you to everybody who's left comments and feedbacks. I've been genuinely surprised and happy with stuff that's been said. So thank you very much. And just one of the, I won't say his full name, but a big shout out to Miguel, who has used so many of my referral codes. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you.
You need to use a few of mine, Miguel. Come on. Okay, yeah, we'll leave it there then. So we'll see you next year. Have a happy Christmas or whatever it is that you celebrate, and have a great time. We'll be back early January, and maybe we'll get Lee back on again, Dazed Netic, sometime next year. It'll be great to catch up.
Yeah, I hope everyone has a great Christmas or holidays, whatever they celebrate. And also, if you do get a Questie of Christmas, don't worry, you can always exchange it for a Pico 4.
There you go. Oh God, sponsored by Pico 4. There we go.
That's another thing. Can I just put it out there that I'm not paid for anything I put online about Pico? Just I'm a fanboy. I just love it.
He is a fan. Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you made that clear at the Retro Computer Museum. And
How much you been paid to say that? Well, I haven't made any money on my YouTube channel at all ever. So there you go.
All right, yeah, thank you for watching this episode and listening to this episode, and we'll see you next year. Have a good time, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Cheers, everyone. Merry Christmas.